Hawks taking on the mighty Essendon Bombers. This is going to be a fantastic match. Of course, Hawthorn have already played in the opening round. Of course, this is round 1 tonight. I know it's a little bit bizarre, folks, but there we go. This is round 1. Let me try and just straighten that up. Get a little bit better view for everyone. Trying to get that in right for everyone, and we'll have a little bit of a look at the team lineups in just a moment. There we go. We're going to be back down to the ground, and the game starts in a little under 5 minutes here, so it should be pretty good. All right, let's have a little bit of a look at the lineups. Who is in and who is out? In for Hawthorn, we've got Josh Ward out, James Warple, there we go. Milestone games, we've got Connor Nash there, 100 games for Hawthorn. Barras, Hardwick, D'Ambrosio are the full-backs. Scrimshaw, Impey, battle of the half-backs, the centres, Moore, Nash, Sicily. He'll hold their back line up rather well, I would imagine. The half-backs, McDonald, Morrison, Watson. The forwards, Ginnivan, Child, Day. The followers, Meek, Ward, Amon. There we go. Interchanges down there as well. Weddle, Newcomb, McKenzie, McGuinness and Frost. For the Bombers, new players coming in, Jackson Pryor and Isaac Kako. Should be interesting to see how they both go tonight. And of course, Isaac Kako, the milestone, is his debut game tonight. Should be good. So Andy McGrath, Ben Mackay and Ridley are the fullbacks for the Bombers. Redmond, Reed and Pryor, the halfbacks. The centres, Martin, Caldwell, Roberts. Half forwards are Caddy, Langford and Perkins. Jones, Draper, Kakko are the full forwards, I should say. My gosh, tongue twisted already. The followers, Brian, Durham, Merritt, the interchange, Tsatsa, Hobbs, Shield, Gresham and Dersma. There are your teams for tonight. It's going to be a fantastic game. As I said, just over 3 minutes before we get this game underway. And of course, Hawthorn has already played one game, and that was in the opening round. I don't know why they do it, the opening round and then round 1. Isn't it the same thing? I don't know. But there we go. That's what we've got on the agenda. Of course, Hawthorn, with that one game under their belt, a win, they had a win over Sydney, and they're sitting second on the ladder at the moment. Of course, all the teams will probably play this weekend. It should be a cracker. We're up for some fantastic. Noel, g'day there. Hi, Dreamer. How you doing? I subbed, and I love your channel. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. Appreciate that so much. If you like the footy, we'll cover the footy. The AFL, I'll tell you what, love the AFL. It's been a long way back, but we are finally back. Of course, if you like a little bit of travel vlogs around Australia, a couple there in Sydney, Thailand, Philippines, I've got all that on the channel as well. But there we go, 4.5 minutes to the bounce, and it's going to be fantastic. There we go. It's showing a little bit different. It's got 2 minutes to go there on here, but as I'm watching it live, it's got about the same. Well, it's got about the same. Anyway, welcome in. I will put up a poll. Who's going to win? Who do you think will win this game tonight? Hawthorn or Essendon? If it's anything like last night, it just goes to show you can't write a team off, as we saw last night. Carlton being defeated by Richmond. What a win that was. Pretty epic. Let's not write off Essendon. Hawthorn are a pretty good side. Let's see what Essendon do. Anyway, we'll take you back down to the ground, and they will take us into the opening bounce where Hawthorn take on Richmond as they do the toss in the middle of the ground.
It's one of the great rivalries in football for the last 100 and odd years. Hawthorn, obviously the expectation, they were so exciting last year. Just the general footy public love the way they play, but Brad Scott's building something at Essendon. I won't be able to see it yet, but he's building something, Bucks.
Oh, he is, and you talk about the rivalry. I mean, every player has a personality. Every team has a character, and Hawthorn's is well and truly established now, and real quickly. Like they've been able to show their personality. They play with verve. They play with enthusiasm, and that hasn't been quashed by their coach. It's been quite the contrary. It's been encouraged. What is Essendon's personality? There was an edge to it early last year, and that edge dropped away. So I'm pretty sure they want to display that edge. But what's the next character that's going to come through in this Essendon side for them to be able to become a force in the AFL?
All night here at the MCG, and obviously questions about how Hawthorn are going to set up. We saw what James Sicily did late last week, and as expected, he's headed down to the back line, and it's in that area of the ground where the most excitement lies, doesn't it, for Essendon fans? Kako and Caddy, what can they produce?
Essendon have left Sam Durham out of the centre bounce. He played forward early in the practice match against Geelong. Nick Martin and Sam Durham are standing at the top of forward 50. That's a little bit about keeping Amon and Impey accountable, and they can do a lot of damage, those two, by their contest and their skills for the Essendon side, their forward 50.
Hardwick's gone to full forward. He's being matched by Mackay. Reid on Chol at the other end of the ground. What a sight! And the season begins for Essendon. For Hawthorn, it's week 2, and it's 2-on-1 in the ruck tonight. Draper and Bryant will combine against Meek, who was so pivotal last week. Into the thick of it, Redmond starting there in the middle as well, which is an interesting...
Really interesting call, and Redmond on Newcombe looks like that's a matchup. Zach Merritt started alongside Will Day.
Great reflex from Shield, of course, who now finds half-back as he's home. Across to the skipper, Merritt. And he kicks it a direct path towards Langford. There's a clean mark by Battle. Amazingly, he only had the one intercept last week. It was an area of the Hawthorn game that was outstanding, but the load was shared.
Couldn't get it to Meek. Kako's around the area, but Nash ended up with it. Hawks hand past their way out of trouble. Day sent it forward to Whittle. Gallivanting run. Sets himself deep. Needs Ginnivan in the one-on-one. He's overmatched by Ridley. And the taller man takes the mark.
Fantastic against Jack Ginnivan as well. That's the good thing about Jordan Ridley. He can play on tall and small, so he'll be playing in a number of different positions tonight.
Well, they need to tonight, don't they, Brownie? Because Hawthorn just have the one major key player in Chol. And they have a couple of 200 centimetres defenders back there in Reid and Mackay. Angle pass for Jones. He's now a wingman opposed to by D'Ambrosio. I wonder what Essendon fans think about D'Ambrosio. They're going to have no ill feeling towards him, but it must hurt them to watch how well he's playing, and he was dynamic again last week.
Yeah, along with Carl Ohm on that dynamic left foot.
Boundary throw in. Meek planted himself in front. It's the tap down. Jones paddled, tried to open the way for Caldwell. Clever stuff up to Merritt. They're working in the phone box on the line. Caldwell squeezed to kick. They ran out of space.
Interesting in that stoppage. Harrison Jones on the wing. He crossed the stoppage, so he stood in front of D'Ambrosio. No sweeping winger for Hawthorn. Essendon want to create a contest everywhere.
Impey into Day. As the short for Amon. Bump ball. Has to give it quickly. Impey trying to with Amon. Barris lends a hand and off to Sicily, who's the calm head, and he puts it onto the chest of Moore.
Needed to, didn't it? We're looking for pressure from Essendon. We saw it there, but they've got through. Impey length on the kick. Targets Newcombe. Was there interference? Passed by the umpire Caldwell. Newcombe not going to give in with that. Straight at Merritt. Boot into the footy. Top of the square. Things heading up. Hardwick loves the rough and tough. Top of the goal square. McGrath trying to be a calming influence. The Wizards buzzing around on top, hungry to get in on the act. And we're going to have a ball.
Being clean so important. Caldwell made the contest, had the ball in his grasp. Essendon could have attacked from that little fumble, goes the other way.
Pryor has the job on the Wizard tonight. Lovely turn at just the right moment from Shield. And they can get creative on the way out, although that doesn't help. The bounce ball, Day will track it first, but Durham, an early message.
Contest.
And then the numbers multiply quickly. Good stuff.
Absolutely. That's what Brad Scott wants. He wants that toughness to that midfield. We've seen it with Hawthorn's midfield, especially last week. He wants to build this young midfield and wants one of their major qualities be that toughness.
No short of toughness from Will Day either.
Meek ferrets away underneath, tried to open the way, didn't work. Caldwell, Merritt fluffed his hand pass, goes in to try again. McDonald wrapped him up, ball stayed in motion. Caldwell sends the Bombers forward. Not a bad move either. Caddy He was in front, threw it onto the boot. Battle gets back, just protects it over his shoulder, Steve Waugh style, and then takes off out of the defensive goal square. Battle has a look for Weddle. He's set him a bit of a task. They're closing from all angles. Weddle will like the sanctuary of the boundary.
And John Newcombe will be a little bit dirty on that. He'd worked out of that stoppage to the fat side. He was in about 20 metres of space, but Josh Battle didn't see him. Geez, Josh Weddle was prepared to run for it. They take the game on.
Subs tonight, Jay Gresham for just the second time in his career, and Sam Frost once again is the sub as he was last week for the first time in his career. He might have to get used to it, it seems. Nash with a swing and a miss in game 100. What a terrific story he is. Draper has to be a little careful. It is a greasy ball, but Durham puts a lie to that. Couldn't have set it much higher. They're powerful in the air. Barris commanding. And it looks like Perkins has got the defensive job on Sicily. Just how defensive, time will tell.
Hawthorn took 22 intercept marks last week, but it was knowing when to take those marks or when to put a fist in the ball and clear the area. They made those decisions very well. That was one of those moments with Barras coming over and putting it out of play.
Bombers get a look out forward from a stoppage. Kako got a hand on it. Nash on the follow-up, though. Handed it off to Newcombe. He bungled the kick. Perkins around to Merritt, shares it with Langford. Kick to full forwards. Draper, mid-air, volley miss.
Good effort by Harrison Jones, part of the thing that Essendon forwards need to do, or certainly plays that forward 50. They need to at least make a contest, bring that ball to ground, don't allow those intercept marks that Bucks was talking about.
Amon on the way out, safely to Battle. And then to Dylan Moore, you'll see him all over the ground. It was dynamic early last week. Angled pass and Barris can take it, and suddenly it opens up for him. Long off the left, it's a high ball, Hardwick, superior judgment, but again the greasy ball a factor. Good hands to Newcombe, had a quick look to the right, ignored Morrison, wants to get it into Chol. Reed work to do, and work is what he did, and he gets it to safety.
Yeah, two golden opportunities, Hawthorn over the back. First one with Ginnivan where Ridley took the mark, this time with Chol. Reed was good enough just to interfere with the contest, provide enough disruption. It's a bit of an arm wrestle at the moment.
Essendon up 5-1 in clearances early in the game, despite the fact that Hawthorn are leading inside 50s 4-2.
Hawks deep forward, Merritt first play. Didn't quite diffuse the scenario, which stays alive. Watson worked it around, Ginnivan fumbled it from Nash. Got it back for Newcombe, ran straight into Martin, somehow kept going. McDonald held to a standstill.
It's a great contest. Essendon have put themselves in the game early with really good heat on any Hawthorn possession. Hawthorn not going to have it their own way with just running through the middle of the ground.
McGrath tidies up, threw it on the boot, straight to Morrison though. It'll come back in. Robert still with Morrison around the perimeter.
Morrison selected at centre-half forward tonight. Use his big frame.
MP goes to centre-half forward now. Battle's got a roost on him. He launches offline. It's through for nothing. It hits the behind post on the full.
Pressure's been good from both clubs early, Bucks. That's why there's been some skill errors and obviously haven't been able to hit the scoreboard as far as goals go. Both teams defensively been good. I've liked Essendon's pressure. Been able to put enough on Hawthorn's forward half.
McGrath invited to play on, and that was all well and good until the going got a little tough. Didn't panic off to Shield. Long on the kick out. Langford in front. Should have the aerial power over Impey. Couldn't complete it as you saw. Jones kept it moving. Caddy decides to keep it in. Langford, and they get to half forward, but only as far as Barris, who's patrolling with great expertise. Sicily's finding out all about Kako. Improvised successfully. Weddle will stride out. Martin left his man, and there is his man over the top. McKenzie comes away on the short, finds McDonald. They link up again, and Moore uses the feet, so they couldn't quite get their handball going through the corridor, and Essendon will take that as a little mini win.
So kick on the 45 to keep the progress going. Nash low down. To centre half forward, the direction of it is good to Newcombe.
That Newcombe for a day there.
Gee, they wouldn't like that, Essendon, would they? They're wide open.
And Newcombe doesn't quite find Battle. I'm not sure it was 15 anyway. Battle, great tackle, strip Reed of the ball. Onto it came Ward. It's heading forward more. Across the face of goal. He's usually so reliable in such scenarios. He's got the wrong part of the footy. And again, no score for them.
Looking dangerous, Dylan Moore. He's had a couple of possessions in the back half, and that was his first look in the forward 50. But He's one of the hardest workers in the competition in that role, all the way up, all the way back. He's a threat for every team.
Kicked 2 goals in the opening term last week, did Dylan Moore. Caddy working well up the ground to give them a target on the way out, but it falls down and it's Weddle drifting across again.
Well, that's the problem when you don't have many tall key forwards, especially Draper's not playing forward of the ball. So if you want to travel upfield and aid Caddy, you've got to know that you don't have those targets to kick to.
Brian on the bench at the moment, about to come on in a moment. Short to McKenzie. Just delays.
You'd like to think that the Brian Draper isn't about going 50-50 the ruck. It's about providing a contest down the line when they need it.
And they'd be wearing him down over the night. Dersma to Mackay. Chol right in his face. Had nowhere to go.
Some solid tackling early, Hunter. It's been terrific.
He's much maligned, Joel, isn't he? But he's played his role exceptionally well. He was good last week, the contest that was required. Leading goal scorer last year with 37.
And he can tackle too, Bucks. He can put that pressure on.
Draper's second effort out near Dersma under immense pressure. Redmond opens things up to Merritt, pulls the kick ever so cleverly, and Martin's got some options. He gives the hand pass to Durham on the flyby. He'll give Kako a look, racing back to goal. Pressure coming, kicks the goal. Isaac Kako lives the teenage dream. A cult hero before he even played a league game. He bobs up instantly.
How good. This is great. We saw it last night, the Richmond fans, those young Richmond players. Well, tonight's the Essendon fans' turn. Isaac Kako, been much talk coming in. Brad Scott spoke to us pre-game, said he handles the expectation beautifully during the week. How exciting. He was set up by a couple of the leaders there. Nick Martin, Zach Merritt's skills through the middle of the ground to create the opening there was fantastic. And look at the creativity from Isaac Kako. What a start.
Yeah, well, Merritt to Martin and then to Durham running past. And Durham's kick was about giving it to Kako in space. Barasset made the move really well off his direct opponent to move across. And if Isaac Kako had taken that in his hands, he would have been tackled or bumped and wouldn't have been able to affect the disposal, but quick enough to realise that. Throw his boot at it and put it through the guts.
Instantly summed it up and kicks Essendon at his first goal. Play number 1200 for Essendon. What a start. Hawks in, but not for long. Reid with the fist. A prominent one, but they had the numbers on their side. McDonald was able to round it up pretty well. Floated the handball for Newcomb. He didn't have long. He saw the lead that was coming hard at him from Moore, who has Hardwick just to roll onto the left. And the answer comes swiftly and decisively from the Hawks and from Blake Hardwick.
First clearance there for Hawthorn results in a goal, so they get territory. We saw this last week against Sydney. They were fantastic around stoppages, getting that early territory. That sets up their first goal, Bucks.
Newcomb's had 7 now, so he's a danger. And the midfield battle's been relatively even, but a matchup that was interesting there was Ben Mackay was actually Blake Hardwick's direct opponent. They've given Reid the job on Chol, so Mackay is the next tall who actually goes to who they might think is the least dangerous or the next tall aerial threat, and it happens to be Blake Hardwick here. Mackay, the ball hits the ground, Mackay takes 2 steps back rather than squeezing up on Hardwick, which was enough space for him to be able to finish on the left foot.
Bombers by a point. Brian comes into the ruck. Meat and Brian go to work. Brian with the clear tap. Sardis tried to work it further on. McKenzie against the flow. Wriggled out of a tackle, then coughed it up. Hobbs picked his pocket, gave it to Merritt inside 50. Going with the flight, Redmond ever so brave. Came away empty-handed. Sicily, Scrimshaw battle. And Ward on the way out. Neat little sidestep. Just needs the kick. Weighted it perfectly and sent Amon on his way. Trolls the target at half forward. Watched it into the hands. Kinnaman heads in deep. Kick goes in that direction. He wriggles his way from behind and takes the mark. And around the corner, Ginnivan finishes the job. He does love a big stage. And this Friday night has every inch of that. Hawks lead for the first time.
Just shows you how marginal the game is. Redmond might have come out empty-handed, but he came out cork-legged as well. He was pretty sore after that, but the Hawks were able to take advantage of that ground ball and then go end-to-end. This is the Hawthorn that we saw. Not necessarily through the guts, doesn't have to be. It's taking the next best option. They were able to moved the ball so swiftly down the wing. It's taking that overlap, Chol getting out the back of his direct opponent, Ginnivan sliding on the fat side, and then he's able just to push his direct opponent out and finish.
Yeah, it was a quick turnover, wasn't it? So when that Redmond contest didn't eventuate for the Bombers, they were spread out, Essendon players were out of position, and that was a problem for them last year. Certainly the back end of the year, teams were able to move the ball far too easily.
Loves the big stage. He loves playing the Bombers. Kick 2 in his first game in Hawthorn colours in round 1 last year, and of course 5 on Anzac Day back in 2022, back when he was a Magpie. So Hawks have turned the momentum, and now they just need Watson to get involved as well through McDonald. Morrison hesitation, didn't lose his cool though. And back to McDonald. They're putting the pressure on this Essendon defence. Reid didn't rise with Chol, went through the greasy fingers and the clearing kick. Gave them a look in Weddle, over the top of Martin. Flicks it back to Ginnivan. Standing start, this is Ward. High ball, Watson, watch it, soars through for a behind.
That was awesome play by Josh Weddle. He's on the fat side. Essendon player there, his direct opponent, I think it might have been Durham, who was actually pushing out towards the half-forward flank to be an outlet kick. But Weddle was all the way up, didn't sit on his heels, kept the ball in the front half. Great pressure.
McGrath out of the back pockets, up the line. Jones made the contest. Hawks have numbers. Ward looked away, hand pass didn't pay off. Durham does the hard work over the footy, almost run down, tripped at the last, his ball. Ran the gauntlet, got the free kick.
It's like Essendon's goal has sparked Hawthorn to another level again. Their pressure's just risen in the last 5 minutes.
So switched with great effect down to Geelong in the Community Series match, the Bombers. And to the near side for Reid. Kick smothered, great hustle. Watson did the business. Morrison got caught holding the ball. Equally good from Dersma.
Yeah, Reid just picking up the pace. It's his 10th game, of course. Great for Essendon fans to see him out there fit and well. Hopefully he can combine with Mackay and Ridley to good effect. They've got their hands full at the moment. Plays it back to Jackson Pryor.
This is all about trying to find the lazy midfielder who doesn't want to fill the space, and then you find something through the middle. This might be it. Maybe another one will be the one that would open it up if they could find it. But here,
there was big risk involved in that kick from Martin. It was a bit sloppy. Barris couldn't. Gets help from Day. Sicily latching on Langford. Did well. Caddy cuffed. Somehow got the ball to boot. Barris, no time to think about where it's headed, but it lands on the chest of McDonald. It was a goal kicker, but still, he's thinking team. He's thinking Wizard. Watson takes the mark.
Young Zach Reid caught in between there. He came off Watson, but he wasn't high enough to get to McDonald, and he wasn't deep enough to cover Watson. There was a 2v1 because the Hawks forward had stayed forward of the ball when Martin turned it over in the middle.
Made his debut in that round 1 game last year and kicked 3 behinds. We know he felt cursed almost by inaccuracy in the first half of the season, but when he hits them, they are a sight to see. The Wizards back in 2025. He brings his show to the MCG, and Hawthorn, after conceding the first goal, have gone whack, whack, whack.
Yeah, that's going to be a major problem. Teams coming up against Hawthorn this year, when they get their tails up, they can score quickly and score heavily. Nick Watson, great to see. Get the monkey off the back, I suppose, at the start of the season. He did finish the year pretty strongly from an accuracy point of view. Obviously, it was a bit rough early in his first season, but that's a magnificent kick, tough pocket from there. He was out there for a long time on his own. It was almost like the Essendon players couldn't see him. Finally, they were able to get it out there to him. But now they've just got to stop the rot. They've just got to be able to defend. I feel like they've loosened off a little bit here. Essendon started to miss a few tackles. Hawthorn starting to move the ball a little bit too easily.
Just the sign of a couple of little post-goal celebrations, which we didn't see last week. 6-18 in the first 9 games last year. Came home, as you said, Brownie, 19 goals, 9.
Shoulder McKenzie, jarred out of his grasp. Caldwell sends Draper on his way. Bombers need one coming. Caddy in front, worked underneath it. Barris spilled by his own man, and it's alive for the Bombers. Langford couldn't quite. Kako might be able to. Kick went nowhere. Martin happy to hug the footy and earn the stoppage.
Great sign from Isaac Kako. He took the 2 or 3 steps to go to the ball when the opportunity was there, not waiting for a handball receive or an easy run into the open goal.
And here he is again. Kako works the hand pass around to Holtz. Caldwell lost his footing as he was going to wind up. Day, as a result, crashed in. Didn't amount to much though.
We saw a bit of players slipping on the surface last night, and already again tonight. Molded soles would be really hard surface, but something for the players to think about.
Nash used the body, cleared the way. Langford dragged off the footy. Impey did well. It stays inside the 50.
Back in the day, the coach would just say, put your long stops on.
The screens on. I often found the screens worked better with the harder grounds because they punch through that hard surface on top.
Day came crashing through, not much of a plan, but he got it away. Bombers up the ante and the pressure stakes. Kako, and the backup is Langford, forces it to Caldwell. He almost was thinking a second goal. Caldwell on the boot, but battle as he so often is in the right place, positioned to defend.
The clearance numbers are fascinating. Essendon lead 10-2, and yet Hawthorn have been able to own transition well enough to be able to have a couple of goal lead, but it's still growth for Hawthorn, I suppose, by screwing that up.
Newcomb's the long target, got rid of Hobbs, then was outnumbered. Shielded enough to cut the angles. Jordan Lewis is down on the boundary.
You speak about the stoppage work, Bucks, but also the forward half intercepts by Hawthorn. I think that's been aided by the way Essendon have come out of their back half. If you look at the way they're moving the ball, for me, their kicks are too long. So just be patient. Don't get drawn into that long kick with Hawthorn's teasing distance a little bit off. So more shorter kicks coming out of the back half. Look after the ball a little bit more. Build the ball up with a little bit more composure.
They've only been able to take 13 uncontested marks to Hawthorn's 22. So that tells the story there that Jordan's talking about.
Sicily having the ankle restrapped as we reach time on of this opening term on a glorious night in Melbourne. Meek down underfoot, Sardis overwhelmed. Nash with a hand pass, McKenzie, clean pick up off to Meek. Met the pressure, stayed viable, no loss to the last.
Hawthorn were prepared to take the extra number there. They're trying to do something around stoppage. McGuinness was in the stoppage. His direct opponent was down as a +1.
Draper's this man, no mark. Impey did enough. Jones trying to open things up, did too much. And pass it away and panic at the end. And McKenzie calmly off to McDonald.
Given some of those numbers you were talking about, Essendon would be pretty flat. They find themselves so far behind. Hawthorn 3-1-19, Essendon 1-2-8. Up to the wing and from the side, drifting just at the right moment. It's Day, who has plenty of hawks to the middle. You can see how tempted he was. He used his feet in the end. Pivoting nicely was Nash. Off to D'Ambrosio. The give to Amon. You know if he gets within 50, he's a chance. D'Ambrosio, wouldn't he relish this? Just to let the Bombers fans know he is the one that got away. Celebrations spread around the MCG. Hawthorn have kicked 4 in a row, and they have command of this match for now.
Hutto, you're cruel bringing that up. You are making it very tough for the Essendon supporters watching at home. But it was the kickers. This short kick they said, this is the difference between the two teams at the moment. So Hawthorn able to find that uncontested mark. They start their ball flow from there. Essendon need to do a better job of closing out those shorter targets. Obviously, they can keep the ball moving. Good finish by Massimo there. Great finish.
That's Hawthorn's third goal from the back half. 2 of them from D50 and 1 of them from a defensive mid-turnover, and the 4th goal's from a centre bounce. So that question we've asked Essendon about, can they defend opposition movements end-to-end, hasn't been answered in the first quarter yet, but they are coming against the side who does it as well as any.
The Bombers unearthed the diamond but convinced themselves it was a rock and had it stolen by their bitter rivals. Clean gather for Ward in the middle. Up to full forward, Mackay. Shoal underneath has it. He'll snap, and the Hawks are rampaging in the opening term. That's 5 on end.
Second centre bounce goal as well. They got smashed in clearances in the first half of the quarter. Been able to bounce back now. That really hurts. That was a clean clearance, Bucks. How does that happen? Miscommunication there with their setup. Ward just sweeps through. Drives it long, takes advantage of the 6-6-6.
That's Hawthorn's third clearance for the game. It's their third centre bounce clearance. They haven't had one clearance win around the ground, but they've kicked 2 goals from their 3 centre bounce clearances.
And Bucks, great contest by the resting midfielder. Will Day, again, we know he's got the height there. He goes forward, Newcomb goes forward sometimes. Hardwick's there at times, making that contest against a taller opponent.
We saw Geordie speaking about Nick Watson running past the contest last week. You know, the job of the aerial players to get it to the front, and on that occasion it was Chol who got front and centre and finished.
The advantage was too great to Bryant, so the umpire's going to recall it. Significant issues for Brad Scott.
Got to dig in here. Essendon need to turn the ball over in the middle of the ground.
Meek to Nash, knew that Redmond was right on him and he remains so.
It used to be a matter of us saying, okay, what do Essendon do to arrest momentum? Like, the best way to arrest momentum is go and score. It's not just good enough now to take possession and own it for a little while.
Caldwell to Bryan, there wasn't anywhere to manoeuvre out of that. Ward, though, was able to flick the handball up to Nash. So the Hawks able to skid it out into open country. Ridley controlled it well enough, but couldn't control his feet. Another one slips at his peril. And McDonald, who we saw do a bit of, what did Gary call it? Lizard chasing last week.
Yeah, good tackling too. Hawthorn, 21 tackles already. They're on track for over 80. They're winning the scoreboard as well. We spoke about Essendon's pressure early, but Hawthorn have been very good lately.
Aim on. Hardwick again. That's on the height difference placed to the favour of Zach Reed.
24 uncontested marks for Hawthorn already this quarter. They've owned the ball, they've controlled it, and as Geordie was saying, with that possession with shorter kicks, they've been able to execute that, unlike the Bombers.
Plenty of international visitors in Melbourne this weekend, and let's hope they're having a look at that. What a sight around the MCG. Hawthorn have come, the Bombers, well, they need to produce something and do it soon. Bryan with the tap down. Meek. Day tried to force the issue. It took two Essendon players to bring him down, but they had success. Will Day, of course, 3 goals last week up to half-time, a career best.
Hawks by 23. Bryan out the side. They need a reprieve here, the Bombers. Caldwell's kick won't give it to them. Morrison onto it. McKenzie didn't quite get it to battle in a way that would have been ultra efficient, so ball up results.
The thing that's so impressive with Hawthorn is when they're not taking territory and scoring, they're not losing territory, and they've got the ability to hold up really well. It's just that battle. Take it cleanly, take the stoppage, and then reset.
Saddis comes out of the skirmish. Down the wing he goes. Draper, Scrimshaw's alive at the back though. He's got options. He'll use Impey. Squares it off to Weddle, and there's open space ahead. Uses Battle as the shorts. Battle comes through half-back. They will set up the field. Aim on with ball in hand. Skips through halfway and sends the Hawks deep. Lovely kick for Wilson. Precise.
We saw an amazing kick from Jack Scrimshaw last week. But that one there from Amon, he had Watson in his sights for about 4 or 5 seconds. I just reckon he waited and paused until he was in exactly the right position, drew a couple of Essendon defenders to go a little bit closer to the boundary, and then he was able to hit him lace out.
Shut out last week. First shot at goal was a beauty. Nick Watson from 45 maxes the feet. Wizarding is back in session. He's got a couple. And that's 6 on the bounce. This is right out of hand.
Yeah, it is, Jared. No doubt about it. The floodgates have opened. They've been fantastic the last 15 minutes, Hawthorn. Again, the way they moved the ball on, turnover there is fantastic. The way they set up behind the ball. Impey got it out to the open side. And then you've just got such precise kickers and attacking kickers. So Carl Amon, just to be able to rip it across your body, that is a forward's dream. When you can lead both ways, outside or inside. Great mark, great finish as well.
Hasn't been for lack of effort. I think Essendon players have had a real crack. They've 23 tackles, so it's not as if they haven't put pressure on the opposition. This is a matter of structure and execution. And Hawthorn's structure and their strategy and their composure with ball in hand has bested anything that Essendon has thrown at them.
We talked last week about how their smalls weren't able to hit the scoreboard. Well, that's changed in the opening quarter. 2 to Watson, 1 to Ginnivan. Watson becomes the first multiple of Hawthorn's 6. Caldwell, they win it out of the middle again to Dersma, to Merritt on his right side, which made it all a bit awkward. Martin able to wriggle clear. Caldwell, forward handball. Merritt had time to have a look, and Redmond's charged forward. And on his knees, he slides in and takes them up.
That time he doesn't nearly get killed. We saw about 10 minutes ago one of the most courageous acts. That mark didn't come off, but he's done that a few times now, Redmond. Obviously, it's a tough angle, but good effort there. He's just trying to change something up.
He's spent a lot of time forward in his career, 20 goals. But now would be a very good time. Essendon kicked the first. Hawthorn responded with 6. I had a long look at it for a while, but as you can see, it looks across the front.
It's a sign of a good defence when your first mark inside 50 is actually that wide as well. That's what Hawthorn have been able to do, to clog up the corridor, force Essendon wide, and even more so, own the key, the front of the goal face, and force them their leads out to the boundary.
Amon brought it in long, ground ball to be won. Ridley's onto it, but he missed Caldwell, and the Hawks do have numbers swarming. Shield against the flow, ripped out of it. McInnes worked it away to D'Ambrosio. He was ripped off the footy, holding the ball, so the Bombers win a tough one. Shield trying to find the way forward, had to double back. Caresses it a fraction too long. Battle brings it to ground, and the Hawks have numbers again. Impey and Barras, and McInnes slings a hand.
Just their ability to get numbers in the contest. When Battle and Cuddy competed for that, it looked like it was a one-on-one. The next 3 players of the contest at ground level were Hawthorn players.
He is forced long down the line. They up to fly. Made the contest with Ridley. At the front, it's all Hawthorn. D'Ambrosio, that was awkward. Shield starting to find the footy regularly. Far from the perfect handball by Redmond. So it's a bit stodgy, but now they can put some pace on things. Roberts angles the kick across half-back. Reed, the fulcrum, but once again, he's taken a step too many. Luck on his side, and so too the skills and wherewithal of Nick Martin. Kicks Essendon to half forward to Kako. And he was about a foot shorter than his opponent on that occasion. Scrimshaw collects the high fives. And Essendon fans are happy anytime they see the number 10 in their screen.
Should be high-fiving Mario Chol as well. His defensive pressure's been outstanding.
With that chasing in the front allows the back half and the wingers not to have to press, and it maintains their structure here.
More paddles. Merritt tried to gather. Caldwell feeds it to him, so the skipper's on his way. Merritt with a bounce. Shuffled the hand pass, not terribly well. Durham and Jones now to full forward. Who's favoured by it? Jones tried to set himself 2 against. Heavy contact. Nick Martin poised, needed. Has to get it.
I love D'Ambrosio's contest there. Dersma had the sit. He had the sit, but D'Ambrosio decided, I'm going to launch at this. I'll take 2 steps and launch as high as I can. I'm not going to be a sitting duck. Ended up screwing the contest.
Bombers searching for one before quarter time. They are in need of the bell, but maybe a goal even more so. Neither ruckman got near it. Caddy onto the boots. No purchase on the kick. It'll trickle through from behind and leave them 27 points adrift.
Yeah, they can't let us score now. They need to lock down and to fix this up. It's a bit more one-on-one now, the way Essendon are setting up around the field.
Sicily favouring that southern side and favouring Will Day. Both hands to it, McInnes. Good reflexes towards Hardwick. Mackay does enough without crossing the line. Merritt. 40 seconds only remaining in this opening term. Joel telling Will Day to head back towards the goal square as they start to spread a little. Which way is it going to head? It's going to head Hawthorn's way. High contact on Newcombe, who always puts himself in the line of fire. Eyes up, kick to Ginnivan. And then the overflow begins. Sweeping forward, Amon. Long on the left towards Day, who was up early. And Jones there sweeping back as the wingman. Stabs the kick from Martin. It was well floated, and Nick Martin takes it.
I'm putting some work into Carl Amon quarter time. I would have thought he cannot run around on his own with a lethal left foot like that.
Off to Roberts, went short to a one-on-one. Caddy good enough to take the mark. Get it back to Roberts. It's going to be a fruitless exercise. And after kicking the first goal, Essendon, they were dominated. Kako got on the board, and then Hawthorn owned the quarter. They owned so much of it. 6 goals. And they have opened up a 27-point lead against the team that have dominated over the last 4 years. Super Saturday kicks off tomorrow, live on Fox Footy. A huge day, and it all begins with the Cats and the Dockers.
All right, quarter time here at the MCG, and it's Hawthorn 6-1-37, leading the Bombers 1-4-10. Well, the Bombers kicked the first goal of the match. Hawthorn responded with the next 6. Don't give up. David, yeah, he going, close to 7K, not too bad. Thanks, David, and Dave for coming in. Of course, Tine passed away, Tine. The ever famous. Thanks for popping on in and everyone else. That's it. Hawthorn look good. What else can you say? Hawthorn look, the Hawks of old from last season, they got some run and carry. They're running in waves. But, you know, don't write off Essendon just yet. Essendon are still putting up good pressure, a little bit like the Tigers did last night, and then things came to fruition for the Tigers last night. I'm not saying it's going to be the same here tonight for the Bombers, but the Bombers, they're still putting on good pressure here anyway. And, of course, they're a little bit better in defence late in that last quarter, whereas the Hawks just found a few players inside 50, got the mark, and were able to score the major. So that's a little bit different there. Tail for the Bombers, where Hawthorn shut them down reasonably well there in defence. Hence, just the one goal. All right, let's pop on over. Let's have a little bit of a look at the players' stats. First off, we'll have a look at the goal scorers and have a look at this. We've already got 3 multiple goal scorers on the ground so far, and they are all two. Is that right? Let me just double check this. 6 goals, 3, 5. How is that possible? Well, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what's going on. Have they got the right stats up there? They got. That's better. I don't know where the other stats come from. Nick Watson, the only multiple goal scorer on the ground, and he is for Hawthorn, of course, the Wizard. The Wizard. He's kicked 2 goals. Hardwick and Ginnivan, and of course Ambrosia and Chol have all scored singles for the Mighty Hawks, and of course for the Bombers. Isaac Kako, first goal of the game. Only goal of the game for the Bombers. Let's have a look at the disposal getter. Who's leading on the ground for disposal? Of course, Jai Caldwell there for the Bombers with 15. 5 kicks, 10 handballs, 4 tackles, 4 clearances. Not too bad. 5 clear of Zach Merritt on 10. Of course, next best is the Hawks, all in single digits so far. John Newcomb, Carl Amon, both on 9 disposals each. Connor Nash, Mackenzie, if you have a look, it's a swag of Hawthorn players after the top 2 there for the Bombers. And the next best for the Bombers is Dylan Shield, just with the 6 touches, 4 kicks. Let's roll down a little bit. Let's go and see who else. Nicky Watson there with the 2 goals, the Wizard. 4 touches. He's had the 2 kicks for the 2 goals, 2 handballs, 2 marks. He's had a tackle as well and doing quite well. Isaac Kako, the new player there for the Bombers. 4 disposals, 2 kicks, 2 handballs. He's kicked that 1 sausage roll of the game, so that was pretty good. Rolling down, if you can see your player there. Sam Draper there, the ruckman there for the Bombers. Just the 2 disposals, 2 kicks. He's had 8 hit-outs for the Bombers. Chol there, 2 disposals. He's kicked a goal from his 2 kicks. All right, let's just have a quick look at the team stats, because we're going to get back down to the ground and see if there's much difference in the play. 116.97, 19 plus to Hawthorn in the disposal count. Only 13 kicks, 7 handballs. Inside 50s, Hawthorn not too bad there. 15 inside 50s for 7 scoring shots. The Bombers, 11 for their 5. Inaccuracy, though, I tell you what, they need to lift the accuracy up there a little bit, the Bombers, if they want to even get close to Hawthorn in this match. You've got to take your chances when available. As you can see, Hawthorn's efficiency around the ground quite high, 81.9. You don't often see it that high for any team in a game. That's pretty good. I would expect that just to drop off a little bit, but still not too bad. Essendon going at 67. Free kicks, not much happening in that department, 2 to 4. Essendon plus 2. If you have a look at their hit-outs, all tied up 13 apiece. Surprisingly, though, in the clearances, the Bombers plus 12, 17 to 5. There we go. What are they doing with the disposal when they get the clearance? Obviously not a great deal. The stoppages, 14-2. Essendon dominating in that section. But the centre clearances, though, 3 apiece. Contested, there we go. Essendon putting on some good pressure there, 40-34. Uncontested. Hawthorn controlling the ball, 15-20 in the turnovers. And that shows on the marking department as well, 34-18. Plus 16 there to the Hawks. As we were saying before about Hawthorn getting their target inside 50 for those goals. 4-1 to Hawthorn. Let's just have a quick look at the tackles. 22-26. Both teams going well. Hawthorn running in ways. They got their run going. They got their mojo. They look pretty good after the first quarter. Tackle keeping up the Essendon keeping up the pressure though. 26 there, +4 in that also that department. Essendon, they just need to continue with the intensity of their pressure, and things just might play out a little bit for them. Let's hope so, because we want a close game. Close game's a good game, as we always say. All right, folks, let's head back down to the ground, where it's the Hawks by 27. Let's head on down to the second quarter.
Margin 27 points as we enter the second term. Meek and Draper resume hostilities. They shared it, jammed it into each other's hands. Newcomb quickest onto it. Shrugged his way clear, needs an option going by. Morrison just took too long as he was dumped from the side. Dersma sticks the tackle and wins the ball. Got to see a response. It's the blindside tackle. Dueling over on the far wing. Dersma on the slow play inside 50. Sicily set himself, had a bit too much on it. Barris tidies up, Battle had the traffic coming at him, used it well. Amon and Sicily combined. So sure on the way out again. Morrison without hesitation to Nash. Wants midfield options. Newcomb is lingering there. He'll have to shoot it back to the outside as they plot the way forward. Moore kicks to Hardwick, right on the breastbone.
It's the kicking clinic by Hawthorn. Sicily's kick out of the back. Well, the back 50, really. It was a beautiful kick that got things going.
Now for a towering mark, perhaps. Spilling out the back is Watson. He's not without a hope. He pounces, took him on, played for the free. Everybody looked. Nobody blew a whistle for him. Pull it up.
I thought that he made a beeline for the contest. I thought that one was there. I don't think he dropped his legs, and the Roberts tackle was a little bit high. He's a bit stiff there.
It was line ball. A dribble from Newcomb wasn't far off either.
You did mention, Brady, like the ball use in the D50 and the ability to go and hit that target as we see this one again. See, Roberts is just too high. You do need to tackle effectively to be rewarded, and it wasn't an effective tackle. One that's missed.
Fair to say those Hawks fans we saw a moment ago agreed with the Bucks. Long down the line again. Power him up early. Juggling act required. And a mighty fine effort as it turned out. But they're well blotted out ahead, aren't they, the Hawks' defence?
It's his next kick for Essendon. Just instead of bombing down the line, they need to build up through uncontested mark. Take a leaf out of Hawthorn's book.
Made it harder for Shield. Has to work his way back by hand to McGrath. Pondered it. A switch. Decided against it at this stage. Caldwell.
So they need to be adventurous though, Hutto. They need to go for that switch kick. There you go, Caldwell. So just try and explore the ground a bit. Don't keep playing into the hands of Hawthorn's defence.
They frame up with Pryor having a couple of bounces to leg it, and it does give Hawthorn a bit of time to provide the coverage. But Jones is still able to take the mark, but he's not convinced by what's on the horizon. So back to Reid.
He's actually trying to draw some of the Hawthorn players out of their D50, trying to open up some space in Essendon's attacking mid to be able to use the ball and go forward.
Right, not so sure. Goes back again. You can hear the disgruntlement in the crowd. Sweeping around the MCG. McGrath takes it on. The chest of Kako. The turn into the 50. Langford was his desire. Barris gets the kick away just in the nick of time. It is a high ball. Should favour Reid. Takes no chances. Hugs in the chest mark.
I hear the boos, but the players are trying something. They're trying a different way to attack, a different way to go forward.
Martin bites off the kick forward. Draper should have held on. Gets out of his grasp when the moment passes.
And it's obviously designed to force Hawthorn to defend for a little bit longer, see if you can find those holes that you weren't able to find in the first quarter. They couldn't just go along doing what they were doing and expect to have a different result.
Draper make amends in the ruck. He does. Draper onto the boots. Gives Caddy a look up at full forward. It drifted away and landed in short. Durham couldn't hang on. Kako is ever so lively, threatening to burst. Opens it up to Langford. Slipped over the crucial moments. And all is lost.
Looks lively though, Kako. Josh Caddy, Nate Caddy, sorry, has had an impact as well forward of the ball, but it is exciting if he hits the ground there.
It's frustrating to watch the players go to ground. Barris. His own unique stop. Here comes Watson. Joel got in his way. He was ready to leap the pack. Ridley's handball a bit indiscriminate, and the umpire was onto it. No team representation there, so insufficient intent. Get it on the inside to McDonald. Just calms the proverbial farm and plays it back to Ward, who came into the team for Walpole. They haven't missed a beat, have they? So far, on the lead of Nash. Well spread ahead. The Hawks forwards holding their ground, and Nash beckoned one of them to come up. Point blank refused, so he does have to succumb in the end. Kicks it deep. Chol ready to jump, but he's worked under the ball by Reed. It got all the way through. Draper knew what to do next. The handball to Ridley, who sweeps. He ran very close to the man Scrimshaw had, and he might have knocked himself out. It's good to see him move.
He was unlucky because Weddle had just ran onto the ground. Otherwise, he had a one-on-one ahead of the ball with Langford.
So downfield handball. But they have to just check the welfare of Ridley.
It's just happening boundary side. So the Bombers trying to build something, but enough across the front from Day.
I don't think there was a lot of intent in this from Scrimshaw, but it was a little agricultural. He ended up getting him right on the button in an attempt, I think, to swipe the ball as it was handball.
Ridley didn't appear to have the awareness of how close he was.
From the throw-in, Caldwell goes to work. Floats it forward, Langford to ground, and on the follow-up was good. They're dragging him down. He released it to Draper, found the way through. Sicily is so well camped, though. Caddy came through, propelling at him. Sicily got out of the way, and Caddy's hurt in the aftermath of that. Let's go from bad to worse. Out to Nash, on to McKenzie. He's paused on the kick. McInnes, Moore. This is a real test of patience at the moment. Moore sends the Hawks forward. Hardwick's his target. That's the difference in the game at the moment. And Ginnivan's on his bike. Ridley closes. It cleared the two of them. McInnes and Chol. Chol grounded right away. Didn't make anything of it initially. Roberts out to Ridley to clear the area. All they're hoping for is the boundary, and they won't get away with it either.
Honest fans a little nervous about Nate Caddy. He's staying out there for now. Clearly impacted though. Limps to try and provide the necessary coverage. He's big milestone for him next week. High ball to the numbers in the pocket. It comes off hands and goes out of bounds. Hopefully it's nothing serious with Caddy. It does feel like a bit of desperation after whatever instructions they got at quarter time has been displayed.
Outside left leg caught, maybe on the ITB. They don't tickle, and they seize up real quick.
Just trying to keep moving. Sure what good that will do. Meek worked it underneath. Pile of players. McDonald up to McKenzie. Released it to Nash. Sleight of hand that didn't quite open the play as was hoped. Day will hand it back to the ump. Long period without a goal. Still the Hawks have kicked 6 in succession. Merritt overran it. Day got propelled forward. McDonald worked it up for Chol coming out. This will work for Ginnivan. The Smalls are running amok in the brown and gold.
Yeah, this is always going to be a problem for Essendon's defence coming in. You know, Hawthorn like to set up for their small forwards, especially with the lack of height down there. Chol's really the only key position target, so they get it on ground level. Obviously, a stoppage situation. They're so dangerous here. The accountability part from Essendon wasn't great. Just to chase out of there. Obviously, Ridley goes to the contest. When you go to that contest, you need to have an impact. Otherwise, a player like Ginnivan's going to make you pay, and he did this occasion.
Very different to last week. we're getting goals off the ground. Ginnivan's had 2, Nick Watson 2, Hardwick was a crumb, Choles was a crumb. So 6 out of the 7 goals, D'Ambrosio was through the top of 50. So 6 out of those 7 goals have pretty much come from ground level players, and there's been a contest, and then it's the next Hawthorn player on it, and they've been able to finish effectively.
Our job is trying to interpret the celebrations of the Hawks. Don't know if that was a timeout. I'm sure it was something more sophisticated than that. But they haven't completely put the celebrations away from last year. What an impact they made on and off the field. Redmond hacks it forward. Caddy underneath it already. Well read by Durham and beautifully finished by a man who they've had to go to over the last 2 years, Kyle Langford, to be their regular source of goals. And after 7 successive Hawthorn majors, Essendon hit back on the scoreboard, and there might be a Hawthorn casualty to boot.
A bit of claret there, friendly fire, I believe. Durham able to come up and get that handball off. And that clearance is definitely, that's been Essendon's strength, and to take advantage of it has been great for him. It looks like Battle was on his way through there, head clash with Scrimshaw. Scrimshaw come at it at the worst, and yeah, he's filling that towel at the moment.
Gasps around the stadium as the big screen shows the replay. Scrimshaw very much the worse for wear.
It's just another chapter in Essendon versus Hawthorn from the 80s.
Need a red towel. Jeez, that's a big one. I don't think we would expect him out on the ground for a fair while if he gets back out there.
They don't tickle when you get
No, they don't. That's what they need though, Essendon. They get the territory there. Able to score. Jack Frost, the super sub from last week when he came on and allowed Sicily to go forward. Obviously it's a like for like, defender coming on.
Hopefully he's okay and he can get back there.
Oh, jeez.
See why the crowd groaned catching him. Look at that replay. Such an important player for them too. Jack Scrimshaw, 9 intercepts, 18 disposals last week.
Gets worse, doesn't it?
Being shown repeatedly to the masses. So Frost is getting his instructions. I think that's the last we've seen of Scrimshaw for tonight. The Bombers have won against the flow. Can they build on that? Brian back over his shoulder. Durham was dispossessed, went again, but Newcomb has the footy. Off to Moore. Low at the centre of gravity, got the free kick. Out to D'Ambrosio.
He ducked more than Nick Watson did moments ago.
Impey took off out of half-back to be the option. Didn't quite handle it as he might have. Battle off the ground. McInnes will give it back to him. Battle just dwelt on it and turned it over. Langford uses the Bombers on the way out. Jones from Hobbs. Jones going to wind it up. No, he pulled it short. Roberts. Hobbs is still going over the top. Roberts in game number 5, having won his place at the end of last season. Kicks for his captain. Merritt on the turn. Gives the forwards a look. Around the perimeter. Just enough. Dersma takes the mark. Where's the contact? Gets the 50. Ginnivan the guilty party.
Much better build up there by Essendon. Clearly see there's been direction at quarter time. They need to build up with shorter kicks. Get your uncontested mark game going. Build your territory that way, whether it by a switch or short down the line. That time they did it. That's the formula.
Dersma without delay. The Bombers string a couple together and start to eat into the deficits.
It was one of the few times that a Hawthorn offensive movement had broken down. Impey had run from the back and spilled it was a missed kick and spilled a relatively low chest mark here. Essendon were able to come back with a bit of oomph. They were able to find some gaps and get a bit of penetration to be able to change the angle and access their inside forward 50-metre penalty from the top of the arc always helps too.
Yeah, 14 uncontested marks this quarter already. Essendon, they took pretty much that in the first quarter.
It feels a little Try that again. Sound like you, Brett. It feels a little different around the MCG after 2 Essendon goals. Will it amount to much? Lead got out to 34. Ryan kicks to centre half forward. Hobbs, there's some hanging on. It's an Essendon ball. Coming back to Martin. Forwards stay deep. Now the leads are made on every direction. Unconvinced, so he just goes straight down the middle, in fact, without direction. Although Barris just a little out of kilter. He tried to spoil, but missed everything. And it goes out of bounds in the pocket. So, Hawthorn 44, Essendon 22. Caddy stayed out there. He's at the top of the goal square. Where does the danger lie on the throw-in? Meek and Brian form up. Perkins is on the move, knocked away from Langford. And then Brian turns tackle to make sure it doesn't escape. They need a bit of time in their forward half.
The Pete stoppage, this is good. Allow him to set up beyond the ball.
Brian to open space. Was hoping for Jones. McKenzie got in the way. Ball stayed in motion momentarily. The Hawks would like that to be blown up.
We're able to get this in the first quarter. Hawthorn able to sweep it out of defence.
Up she goes again. Meek out the sides. Sardis, Dersma, Merritts from the tough angle. Got a good look at it. Classy stuff from the skipper. The Bombers are mounting their challenge. That's 3 in a row. They're down by 16.
Excellent response and a great finish. Zach Merritt's as efficient and as dangerous as any when you give him a couple of steps, and he's got some space here, running directly towards the boundary. He's able to hook it around his body at 90 degrees and finish effectively, but starting to get a little bit of impact from some stoppage dominance in the first quarter where they got almost none. They've been able to get 2 goals from stoppage of the last 3. And it's put them back in this contest. It's definitely arrested some of Hawthorn's momentum and gives them a shot. It's squared up the scoreboard a little, and if they can maintain the stoppage dominance and put some territory on the game, as you said, repeat entries, repeat stoppages in their front half, it actually puts some pressure on the Hawthorn back 6.
He's done that before. Kicked the goal from even tighter angle last year against the Saints. Hawthorn straight out of the middle. McKenzie, and Nash's kick is gobbled by Joel. And Reed's having a tough time at the moment on his return to the senior action.
It's hard to do. Maybe Joel made it look easy. Early touch. I love when key forwards instigate the contact. So it all of a sudden unbalances the key defender. Normally the key defender is the first one to make the contact. That is outstanding craft.
Fired against the Bombers last year. Huge grab, kicked 2 goals too. He's already looking for a second here, maybe on Joel for the Hawks. A couple of steps is all he needs. But he misses this time. So maybe momentum has just changed a little.
Just laid off it. Talk about momentum. He didn't have it through that kick at this point of that.
Not yet at the halfway mark of this second term. Redmond ambled into play, took the long kick. It's a fair old contest. Sicily pushed Jones underneath. No free kick thrown in.
The game's poised again, so the Essendon midfield have been able to fight their way back into the contest. That's something Brad Scott hopes from this young Essendon midfield. Obviously, Zach Merritt's been very good as well this quarter, but the younger mids standing up.
Nash filling in around the grounds. Draper should have the advantage. Bombers with the free kick and the advantage. Durham measures off his kick. Jones will roll and give them a look up inside the 50. Langford, he was the most gangly of the Flyers. Martin underneath, pulls it back to the teeth of goal. Caddy trying to get back. He'll be the man standing. Had a swing, didn't get enough on it. Hardwick repels under enormous pressure. The Hawks will hold up. Ward finds Morrison. They'll take a break.
Oh, they did their darndest then, the Essendon small forwards. They were so close to latching on. Tackle pressure was great. And the Hawks found a way out. Morrison, a boot to Child, who gives them a substantial target. Pryor is the extra body, and it's out.
Sam Frost just going for a little run around the boundary. He's still sitting on the back bench, but we imagine he'll get pulled the trigger pretty soon with that Jack Scrimshaw coming off with the blood nose.
One thing that Essendon have forced is Blake Hardwick's gone behind the ball. It might be a 7th, a way of trying to arrest some momentum and support Hawthorn's back 6.
Sardis Jones has gone forward for Essendon as well. Buck's down there. We know he's spent a lot of time as a wingman in the back half of last year.
Well, Hardwick's loose there, and it's been Mackay who's loose down this end. So, Hawthorn may be able to have that extra number, win the contest, and then be able to possess the ball for a little bit to take away some of this sting.
Draper with a grab and go. Unfortunately, he couldn't carry it all the way. Roberts also lost his footing, but not his composure. Hobbs is mobbed. And again, Essendon just don't have ability to stand up.
Yeah, he slipped over a lot. Sam Draper's lifted this quarter. He's been terrific for Essendon in the run.
17-point margin in the Hawks' favour. Amon finds another target, short to Morrison. Pretty static up ahead. So long to the contest. Mackay's going to arrive from deep. Didn't take the mark though, and the ball threatens to get loose. Watson onto it. Couldn't quite get clear of referee, but had support. McKenzie, McGuinness. Now Watson brushed his way through. Gives the Hawks a great look. Day set himself. Won't mark. Will get the free kick. Beautiful move from the Hawks.
Yeah, it was. Beautiful move. Benro BK15, though, he just can't allow that ball over the back.
That left hand was just on the shoulder, so technically it's a free kick. But, Will Day, when you're trying to get a highest point, with that bit of movement, the surge play from the hands was excellent.
Frost about to get the call. He'll suit up. We're with Will Day near the goal mouth. Day curls it through. He's adding the scoring weaponry to his arsenal. That just holds the Bombers in their tracks. Hawks by 23.
Defensive error there, Jared. No question about it on the wing there. They had the outnumber. Ben Mackay, very good intercept mark, and normally allows that ball over the back. If you allow the ball over the back with Hawthorn's dangerous small forwards, they will cut you to ribbons. And they do. They make you pay. It goes hand to hand again. They'll be disappointed with that. Yes, good play by Hawthorn to get it all the way down there. And good contest by Will Day. He's been strong in the air.
Brown, it's also Draper had an opportunity to maybe check Will Day 30 or 40 metres before. So if you don't do the work early, allow them to then continue on with their run. Even his strength between Watson. We spoke about Hobbs before, maybe not standing up in the tackle. Watson's strength right in front of us, the ability to break the tackle, keep the momentum going forward.
Thanks, Geordie. Back in the middle. Lovely connection between Ruck and Rover. Day did the sharking from the meat tap. Now McGrath had to be cool. Sends it out wide. So Brian had taken some width out to the wing after contesting in the ruck. Targets Kako. Impey went to ground. Did he fall on his back? Bombers fans thought so. Unwhistled. A shove on battle by Langford, who then turns tackler. They're trying to gang up here. Much better effort in this second quarter. Margin sits at 23, so for all their work, they've only made up 4 points on the quarter time score. Brian and Meek at it again. McCorble got a shove for that time. Like 10-pin bowling as they go down. Nash somehow a handball to McKenzie. Scrambled ball forward. Who can be cleanest? McGuinness was. Ginnivan was. Day always is. On this occasion, the going got a bit tough. He's outnumbered and crowded. Redmond by hand. It's just a rush kick. And well picked up by Caldwell. With the jet black hair, he too took a step too many. Kicks indiscriminately inside 50. Big tackle laid by Hobbs. Kako, if anyone can get out, it would be he. Merritt, Langford, the battle is willing, and that's the way we love it at the MCG on a Friday night. Caldwell goes again, searching, seeking out Jones, and D'Ambrosio has a friend in the boundary.
We talk about Hawthorn's ball use and their run and carry, but when you look down the field, their defenders are prepared to defend. They're prepared to go one-on-one, win the contest in the air, win the contest on the ground, and delay enough for the cavalry to come, but they're standing up in their own right.
Knocked to the front, Impey with Kako wearing him close. Took him high, the youngster. Impey.
Love his energy though, Jared. He's everywhere, like whenever the ball's in his area. If he's not winning it, he's putting pressure on the Hawthorn player that has it.
Got a look at Caddy on the bike a few moments ago, the knock to the knee from earlier in the term. So he's not in the goal square at the moment. Long down the line, Meek had it knocked away. McKenzie did enough. got it away to Moore. Threaded the hand pass cleverly. Nash gives it back to him. Moore delves back through the traffic. Sicily's his man low down. Forged his way clear. There was nothing shoot about it. Just relentless stuff from the Hawks. Aim on deep. Newcomb's the target. And Moore has run on. He'll get the pop kick in the pocket.
If Geordie was talking about a Draper check on Will Day last goal, McGrath had an opportunity to check Dylan Moore right here, and he got done 1-2, and he's ended up with it in the forward 50.
Dylan Moore has watched the rest of the tools, Smalls kick goals so far. He won't get in on the act here.
Sam Frost checking into the game. That sub has been made. Jack Scrimshaw done for the day after that collision with Josh Battle.
Watching brief on that man, Nate Caddy. Bit of a return to Geordie's unsociable Hawks out there, isn't it, with Sicily? They try and wind their way through. McGrath, stationary from Shield, he did it well. Works his way across that back. Reed's kick, though. It's just not quite working out for the young man at the moment. Just a slight miss kick. And the error out of bounds on the full. Battle takes it. And you can see lots of hands and directions. The Hawthorn players, intrinsic knowledge of where to go next. They spread the field. Usually they switch. There's temptations through the middle, well guarded. So back to the near side, and the side of the MCG, and it's Battle. They Hawks probe away. Aim on, they've almost got to the 50. Aim on will run. Morrison will be tempted. He's inside now, Aim on. Wrong side left footer. So he does the team thing, he does the Chol thing, who is denied this time. A desperate Dersma. McGrath, he lost just about everything there. And he's going to play full price.
The rules don't account for the wrong boots.
It has cost them so much tonight.
Yeah. No, that's a good decision. That's a common sense decision by the umpire. So you brought the pressure on yourself there by slipping over. Now the Essendon supporters won't agree.
Was he under pressure or not, though? I guess is the broader question. It's almost like they're under a spell. Watson's kick free. It'll be a replay, much talked about, but the headline is still Hawthorn leading by 5 goals.
From halfback here when John Newcomb had it. Now Hawthorn are playing chess through the midfield, just moving pieces where they wanted to. Every one of the kicks that they had was just to put a teammate in further space. I don't think you could say he was under no pressure there, Hutto, so it's debatable.
He had the first option, which he didn't take, and he comes back and puts himself under pressure.
I agree with that. I think
Get Ray on the hotline.
also too, front of mind for umpires, you know, obviously trying to stay on top of some of these rules that don't get paid a hell of a lot. We see it creep into the game at times where we just let the players get away with a lot. I think the right decision was made there.
5-goal margin, they reach for the ball in the middle. Mackenzie held up with it. Brian planted himself in front. Caldwell didn't take it. Gave Ginnivan a look off the ground. Took a couple of yards going forward. Moore ever so clever. Back to Ginnivan. Up for Hardwick. Punched in the air. Redmond's the first to arrive. Oh, Mackay had a fumble. Redmond met front on. And over the ball. Canada ball.
Move out.
Can he lead with his head there? Yes, they're on the side of caution and pay the free kick.
Redmond to McGrath. He dropped the mark. So the small things are all adding up against Essendon. Morrison trying to make it a turnover. Shield did just enough. Martin caught. That's holding the ball too long. An unreasonable amount of time. Morrison brings it in. The Hawks build the weaponry. McDonald, lovely pass for Hardwick.
The game's turned back in Hawthorn's favour the last 5 minutes. That momentum again. We saw it in that first quarter when they kicked 6 in a row. It's hard to stop when they get their tails up, get their pressure game going, they get their kicking skills going into an open forward line. Beautiful kick, good diving mark.
Now the cumulative mistakes that brought Carlton undone last night. A missed handball here, a fluffed kick there, a slip.
The Carlton supporters have just recovered and sat down in front of the TV. They had to bring it up,
Jared.
Blake Hardwick is kicking for his second. Hardwick launches it into the night sky, and the goal umpire did all but applaud it through. Hawks back to a 6-goal lead.
Yeah, they re-established their dominance in the game in the first half. There's been momentum swings, but they've certainly had momentum for longer. And Blake Hardwick, just a number of Hawthorn players that are flexible, Bucks. You called it about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Just they're under a little bit of pressure. They decided to put him behind the ball as the 7th. Look what he can do as a forward. And this is what they do, Hawthorn. They've got beautiful kicking skills, arguably the best kicking team in the competition. They can hit those.
They're facing up really well. So this one, so Connor McDonald, he's not looking, if he hasn't seen a run and carry option or a handball received to buzz the mark, they face up to the game. And the players in front of the ball know that that if they're free, they're going to get used immediately. If it wasn't Hardwick, it was more. And Blake Hardwick spent half of this quarter in the back half. 2 goals for the half.
That's an easier one to interpret, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
His first child a couple of weeks ago. Newcombe tried to barge out of the middle, and Essendon able to turn the tables the other way through the grit and determination of Caldwell, who wouldn't let go. Sends it extremely wide to half forward. Great hands from Jones. Dersma runs hard to the inside. Brian gives him an option. Caddy is waiting in the goal square and now leading into the pocket. Langford there as well. He has to try and honour one of the leads, and it was Perkins who was able to slide in and take the mark.
A great hard lead. Hats off to Jai Caldwell. He's tried his heart out this first half. 21 disposals. He's had the 7 tackles. 6 clearances, so he gets that clearance out there. Beautiful kick in there, and good lead, good strong lead. Had purpose. Now needs to go back and kick.
He does.
Essendon within touch.
Kicked 2 goals against the Hawks in round 1 last year, but the year promised so much didn't really eventuate. Doesn't quite get all of the logistics right here. Just sneaks in for a behind when Essendon needed more.
Hard kicker, 35-metre banana.
Found himself on the fringes of the side late last year, Archie Perkins, sub-vest for a couple of games. So he's had a good pre-season. Let's hope it's a fruitful one.
Sicily takes the long option. Chol and Meek are both there. Chol rose beautifully. A graceful mark and a neat kick to open the play up. Moore's got runners inboard and out. Uses McDonald, kicks it up for Hardwick. First bounce, clean gather. Watson doubles back. McDonald got it on the tip. Moore stays active. When does he not? Couldn't quite gather. Clean leader.
Control took that mark. There were 3 Hawthorn players goal side to 1 Essendon player. So Essendon just no balance at that contest. If you can't have balance through the midfield, and you've got Amon and Impey and the small forwards that are running in waves, it's nearly impossible to defend.
35 from the Hawthorn goal. Brian Shield didn't gather. Watson took them all on. We did it.
I mean, Hawthorn are finding targets when there's fierce pressure on them, let alone when they have an outnumber.
Yeah, 20% difference in kicking efficiency. That's a big discrepancy, Bucks.
Dersma onto the footy at the stoppage. Shield, Caldwell didn't handle it. McKenzie trying to open it up. Nicked it okay at ground level. Caldwell stripped of it. Merritt will find the way out from Durham, who lent a hand, but the ball will turn over. Impey bunted it up one way or another to Barras. He works it around with Sicily. Look away, hand pass to Battle, and out the side to Ward.
Always seem to have something in reserve at the moment, the Hawks. It was Ward this time as the get-out clause. Hawthorn's turn, not quite to handle the greasy ball, but he turned it into something quite beautiful. Impey scoots away. Watch out, here comes Watson. He tried to leap the pack at the back under immediate duress. Redmond was able to get it off to Ridley, and they're out for a little while at least. Well-timed fist from Amon to try and reignite, reinvigorate, come away again. Durham back to the wing. Caddy takes the mark and charges off blindly. Kicks it to, well, who knows where. Sicily will have first play. With him is Jones. Sicily has Frost. Oh, he slips. It's a frosty night after all. Oh, the umpire has paid a Hawthorn free. Wow.
Small contacts. Oh, Barras, that's a lovely fly. So first Chol and then Barras getting the aerial late in the half. Long down the line, we'll see us to half time. Hawthorn led by 27 at quarter time. It's 35 at the main break. Graceful stuff from the new Hawk. He is a marking machine, always has been. Now doing it in new colours. 10-4-64 to Essendon 4-5-29. The Bombers made a rally, got to 16 points. But Hawthorn just with a class advantage in what we've seen through that first half.
Yeah, so 4 goals, 3 to 3-1. Zach Merritt.
That's the debate over the rush behind.
I think so, yes, getting the interpretation about that. But yeah, they have to put that behind them. Maybe they haven't had the rub of the green as far as that is concerned, but they've got bigger issues at the moment, haven't they?
Ginnivan with 3, Watson with 2, Hardwick with 2. That's a pretty good readout of the problems they've got down back. And with Caddy having got the knock on the knee, they haven't been terribly threatening up front either. Some of the players who had great summers, Sardis and Hobbs, it's a much harder school in round 1 against one of the top teams than it is in the community series.
No doubt, and Reed's had his difficulties down back as well, so there's a lot of room for improvement as far as the Bombers are concerned. Standing by to head into the Hawthorn camp with Ruby in just a moment. And it looks as if James Sicily, who has had his moments, it's been such a team performance though from the Hawks. He was the star last week. Let's hear from him now with Ruby.
James, thanks for joining me. The Bombers got on a bit of a run that quarter at the start. How'd you wrestle back momentum?
Yeah, they changed up the way they went about it. They sort of went to an uncontested mark game and tried to control the ball, make the ground really big and try and put us to sleep. So we sharpened up our defence, got up, tried to take away those uncontested marks because they were, switching it a bit. But I'm happy with the pressure overall. We've just got to keep making sure that's a focus.
What have you enjoyed from your side, aside from the pressure for that first half?
I've loved Wiz's first half. Good response. Hope we can keep going, and TP's mark just then was bloody unreal. So, look, we're there to reset and go again, and hopefully got a game on our hands.
Thanks for joining us. Good luck for the second half.
It's a 35-point margin that James Sicily and his Hawks enjoy, but there is plenty to delve into. Nathan Buckley and Jonathan Brown have made their way across to join Jordan Lewis and Jason Dunstall, who sounds grumpy. He shouldn't be. Hawthorn lead by 35 points. What's the matter with you, Jace? Half-time coming up.
You're watching Friday Night Footy on Fox. Brought to you by Industry Super Funds.
All right, we'll be back with the fellas with a bit of their analysis of half-time in just a moment. 10-4-64. Hawthorn leading the Bombers 4-5-29. There we go. Hawks by 35. 4 goals, 3 the Hawks in that quarter. 3 goals, 1 the Bombers. The Bombers look better, as they said. They created a bit more space, a bit of a keepings off game. They did keep that pressure up in the intensity, which was good. The Bombers gave themselves a little bit of a chance. The Hawthorn, they got out to, some ticky-touch free kicks. There we go. There we go. Which all resulted in goals. Just a slight hand on the shoulder. Gave away a free kick. There was nothing in it. And then the other one was a bit strange. Well, the Hawthorn defender was all over the back of the Essendon defender. He put it through the point post and it was called deliberate. Can't say I've seen that before, especially when the defender is right beside them. I thought you could do that. I thought that was within the rules. It's strange. And of course, just before half time, Sicily got the free kick in the forward pocket for Essendon. Called too high. Well, I don't think that was there. The Bombers would have run into a goal and snagged that one. 3 goals Hawthorn probably got away with there. So that's why Hawthorn lead by such a margin. But, that being said, Hawthorn steadied the tide after Essendon got on there a bit of a run. And of course, the class of Hawthorn shone through again late, halfway through that second term. As you can have a look at the worm there, Essendon kept it reasonably good there. Hawthorn got the first goal, and then Essendon sort of took control of the game there. But those couple of decisions certainly put Hawthorn back up there. Let's just have a quick look at the goal scorers and the stats. We'll get back to the fellas in a minute, and they'll give us a little bit of their analysis up until half-time here, the MCG. Nicky Watson, the Wizard, he's the multiple goal scorer. He's the leading one on the ground for Hawthorn with 3 goals. Hardwick with 2. Ginnivan with 2. I tell you what, I hope those boys, you know what, don't be such a show-off this year like last year, especially when they got put out of the finals. They tended to have a little bit of a cry, a little bit of a sookie la-la when the opposition coach told them they wouldn't be getting on the flight to the grand final. There we go. That's what happens. If you don't want to play with fire, you might get burnt. Don't cry when you do get burnt, fellas. Ginnivan and some of the Hawthorn fellas. But anyway, it's all show business, isn't it, with these blokes, and it's good to see. Zach Merritt on one for Essendon with Langford, Kako, Dersma. Of course, the other single goal scorers for Hawthorn, Will Day, Ambrosia and Chol. Let's have a look at the disposal count quickly. We're going to head back to the fellas. They're back here now. Caldwell on top with 21. Newcomb 15, Nash 15, and Amon 15. We might have a little bit of a look at this in just a moment. We'll get back to the commentators and they can give us a little bit of analysis on the opening half here.
Second, before the Hawks steadied 4 goals to 3 in their favour. It's a 35-point margin at half-time. First thoughts on the first half, gentlemen?
They're great to watch. Essendon were good early for the first 10 minutes, but then Hawthorn, like we saw plenty of times in the second half of last year, they get momentum and they can score heavily on you, and they kick 6 goals in a row, and it's really hard for Essendon to fight back after that.
Yeah, for me, no shortage of effort from Essendon in regards to the contest and the pressure on Hawthorn, but they've just been so clean. I've been impressed with their ability to find time and space and use the ball so effectively by hand and foot.
You watched it from ground level, Louis. What did it look like down there?
Yeah, I think the thing that stood out to us on ground level is when there's long contests, Essendon are okay. So when they can get repeat stoppages, repeat inside 50s, okay. When the contest is really short, Hawthorn are able to pop a lot quicker to get their transition game going, and Essendon can't defend.
Harvey Norman highlights. We're going to have a look at Nick Watson, a man that was very well held by Sam Wicks last week up in Sydney. Didn't hit the scoreboard. Well, he certainly impacted tonight. He's kicked 3 in the first half.
Interesting, isn't it? He didn't have the hard matchup tonight like Wicks did last week. He was fantastic. Look at that. He was out on his own for a long time there. Both set shot goal kicking has been very good there. He's been really dangerous all over the field.
Yeah, and as Hutto mentioned in the call, that's been a difference. This kick here by Carl Amon, I think he had Watson in his sights really early here, and his ability to finish. We didn't see this early last year when he first came onto the scene. He's just grown in confidence as he has progressed, and he sniffs an opportunity like that, he is all over it.
Yeah. He's waited for his moments. It seems like he's waited for his moment. We talk about the first play that he was involved in, the smother. Then he gets a goal off the back of that. So I think it's been a really clinical performance by him. Number 2 rated player on the ground. But he's been a little bit more composed tonight than he was in Sydney last week.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Lou. I think Sam Mitchell will be just as happy with those defensive efforts. And it hasn't just been him either. It's spread amongst the team. There's been some great pressure acts where they've run down tackles, they've died for smothers. It's been very, very pleasing. The 3 of the first 4 Hawthorn goals, Bucks, came from defensive half. They were able to transition the ball beautifully.
Yeah, they had their running game going very early, and this is what we see. I mean, Amon and Impey are nearly always involved in this. The difference in the two sides has been largely those 2 players' ability to create and outnumber through the midfield and maintain the momentum of the offence. And this is why we see. This one was a turnover. Nick Martin kicked the ball through the middle, and it came back just over halfway. But there was 2 goals early in the game that came from D50, and it's largely the run, the spread, and the absolute pristine ball use of the Hawthorn defenders that allows them to be able to move through the midfield. And Essendon, once again, haven't been able to defend their back, the full ground movement of the opposition.
Beautiful kicking team, Hawthorn. Carl Amon outstanding. That first quarter, 9 disposals, 4 inside 50s, 3 score involvement. So reminds me of your great team, Geordie, you know, and obviously Sam Mitchell would take a lot of influence from that team, and got beautiful kickers all over the field. That's why it's hard to stop.
I tell you what, they mightn't have been able to defend, but they've been able to win clearances. It's been frightening the way they've dominated stoppages. But unfortunately for the Bombers, it wasn't until the back half of that second term that they actually got some reward, and they got a couple of goals from stoppages.
Well, it's clearly what they're prioritising tonight with the dominance of the Hawthorn midfield last week. This is where they've sent their extras, and they've created a lot of movement. And you're right, they didn't get reward for it at the early part, but what has been evident is when they go inside their own forward 50 to a even number forward line, they're actually competing all right. So that's you get out of centre bounce, you get it out of repeat stoppages. Even the slower ball movement is allowing their numbers to equalise forward the ball. They look more dangerous when that happens.
So how do they get more benefit out of that control that they've had around the stoppage?
I think you really got to question whether if sending up a spare is as beneficial of having 6 forwards ahead of the ball. I would go equal numbers around the stoppages, back your midfields in. They might still have dominance, but at least you get a contest forward of the ball.
They had 12 around ground clearances before Hawthorn had 1 to start this game. Hawthorn's 2 clearance goals in the first quarter came from centre bounce. They hadn't, and that was about the only clearance that they were winning. So for Essendon or for Hawthorn to have matched the scoreboard at that point, it was a bad sign for Essendon. If you're that dominant in one phase of the game, you can't take advantage of it. It didn't augur well for the Hawks squaring that part of the game up.
And what swung the game in that first quarter Hawthorn's way was they got 2 centre bounce goals. It just went bang, bang, when 6-6-6 ahead of the ball. They were able to score from that, and they really lost momentum, Essendon, on the back of that.
We spoke to Brad Scott pre-game, and he told us a little bit about Isaac Kako. There was a bit of excitement around him. We didn't have to wait long to find out he kicked the first goal of the game, but it wasn't just the goal. He's had a good impact.
It was loud, wasn't it? It really lit the crowd up. We've all come to watch him. We've heard about him over the pre-season. He kicked 4 goals in the community game against Geelong, which is a really good effort. But tonight's the real stuff. He gets on the board early. It's fantastic. It was set up beautifully, that first goal, by Merritt, by Martin's kicking, but I've loved his pressure as well. So you speak about Dylan Moore and Jack Ginnivan and Watson, what they do without the ball. Well, this guy's been very good without the ball as well, Jace.
He's the 3rd highest rated player on the ground. So the stuff that he's doing is fantastic. He makes the most of his possessions. And I can tell you already, watching the Hawthorn defenders, they are aware of him. They know exactly where he is and when to get rid of the ball.
We saw Sam Lawler turn on last night. Isaac Kako starting to have an immediate impact. But right now it's time to catch up with John Ralph, because a little bit has come out of this game in the first half. Ralphie, first and foremost, Jack Scrimshaw, a big head clash with a teammate, and that's resulted in him being subbed out.
Yeah, it certainly has. What a second quarter there from Scrimshaw there. So suspension potentially, which we'll show you in a second, and then the head clash, which makes it largely irrelevant. Certainly that head clash, that friendly fire there with Josh Battle, it is a concussion. Hawthorn have confirmed to me, so he will miss against Carlton. You think he's battling with a broken nose as well. Amazing to think there that Battle played on after a couple of minutes on the bench there, so he will miss next week, and those concussions put players out for an average of 14 days, so you can see him very much worse for wear there. Now, as to the potential suspension there, as I said, he will miss next week anyway. There is a chance that it's a 1 weeker. There is also a chance that this is assessed by Michael Christian as low level. This angle here sees him, well, potentially attempting to smother there. Ridley did not leave the ground, did play on, which does help him. But I think a secondary angle there shows him certainly swinging with that left arm there. So there is a chance that would be assessed as medium impact with the capacity to cause serious injury. But I think it's more likely a fine. As for Hawthorn, for Nate Caddy as well, as a very sore boy, a left quad corky. He tried some time on that exercise bike. He tried to loosen it up, and it is heavily strapped. But as you power forwards know, with those corkies, you just have to try and run it out. Nothing really helps you. He's going to be a sore boy for the rest of the night.
Thank you, Ralphie. Appreciate it. Anything to worry about for Scrimshaw? Let's put the concussion to the side, but from a match review officer perspective?
I don't think so. I think he deserves a fine. You can argue it was for a spoil. He'll be right. As you said, he won't play next week anyway, so he's not going to get more than a week's suspension.
The only problem is the intent doesn't really get judged as much anymore. So it's like, did he have any other options, and did he make sort of head-high contact? So when he goes through the matrix, it might be, as Ralphie suggested, the fine. I trust him. He knows the MRP as well as anyone.
I was a bit surprised that Ridley didn't look up quicker. Well, Ridley only looked up really late. Yep. I would have been expecting him to dispose of the ball. Young caddy, that's just a young forward. Need a bit of meat on those legs. A couple more years and he wouldn't be off the ground, Chief.
All right, we've got the second half not far away. It's shaping up as a good contest. Can the Bombers get back into this one? And don't forget, everything you're watching tomorrow is happening right here on Fox Footy. It is Super Saturday Live. Kicks off at 12 noon. And it is just, I'll be on the couch and you won't hear from me again.
You're watching Friday Night Footy on Fox.
All right, there we go. There's the wrap-up of the boys' analysis. All right, let's just get back and have a look at the stats of your players. As we said, Jai Caldwell leading the way on the ground for the Bombers. 21 disposals, 10 kicks, 11 handballs. He's had 2 marks, 7 tackles, 6 clearances. So he's having a pretty good game there for the Bombers. Jai Newcomb Connor Nash and Carl Amon all topping the table for Hawthorn with 15 disposals. Dylan Moore next best with 14. Zachy Merritt and Andy McGrath 14-13 for the Bombers. Let's just scroll down. You can find your player, Joshy Ward, there for Hawks with 11. Sicily up to 12. He's, tell you what, he holds them up down back. He's one of the stars of Hawthorn, that is for sure. All right, who else we got there? Mason Redmond there for the Bombers. He's on 9. Nick Martin on 9 also. Will Day for the Hawks. He's had 9. Nicky Watson, the Wizard, up to 8 touches now. 4 kicks, 4 handballs, 2 marks, a tackle, 3 straight goals. So tell you what, he's got his kicking boot on tonight. That is for sure. Has the Wizard. Isaac Kako, the debutant, kicked the first goal of the game for the Bombers. Still with the 1 goal, 7 touches, 3 kicks, 4 handballs, 1 mark, 1 tackle, 1 clearance. Be interesting to see if he can pick up his stats in the second half. There we go. Who else have we got there? Well, Sam Frost just came onto the ground. He's had 1 touch. Just a kick for him at the moment. All right, let's jump over to the team stats. As we can see, Hawthorn 31, 32 up on disposal count, 18 kicks up, and of course 14 handballs up. Inside 50s, well, that's relatively even there, 29-26. Hawthorn going pretty good there, 14 scoring shots for their 29. 9 scoring shots for 26 inside for the Bombers. And if we have a look at the disposal efficiency, Hawthorn still with a really high percentage rate there of 82.9. The Bombers, not too bad, 69.8. Free kicks, there we go. We had a few comments there saying that the umpires were Hawthorn's, well, best player on the ground tonight. 12-10, although Hawthorn have only had 2 more free kicks, you know what, it is some of the free kicks that they got, which resulted, I think, in a 3-goal extra for Hawthorn. I think Hawthorn could have had 2 less goals than Essendon, 1 more goal, had the decisions, which, you know, technically they should have been, well, one of them technically was there, but shouldn't have been there. The other 2 definitely weren't there, in my opinion. There we go. Hit-outs, Hawthorn on top there by 4. Clearances, the Bombers still on top there in the clearances, 26-14, and the stoppage clearances, 28. Centre clearances, though, both teams spot on level, 6 apiece. Contested, not too much difference there, 73-61. Uncontested, Hawthorn just controlling the area. There we go, 25-32 in the turnovers. All right, let's get back down to the ground. Players are out there in the huddle. They're just about going to go back to their positions. We've got about a minute and a half to go before the bounce of the ball in the second half, the third quarter. Of course, it's the Hawks by 35. Let's get back down to the ground and we'll run it in from there. The bounce of the ball for the third quarter.
And he exits the building, so the Bombers are crying out for that forward to take control. Is that going to be a small forward like Kako? I'm not too sure, but he can definitely help bring that spark. With Essendon at the moment, it's not a strong area for them generating scores from turnover, but they're doing it specifically, badly. Their opening half, this half, was the worst generating scores from turnovers they've had since 2022. So it's really an area that they're going to have to build in.
Thank you, Rubes. Yes, 6 points they scored from turnover in the first half. We saw a sight there, Jared, of Ben Mackay, and we were talking during the break about an interesting decision that Reid has played on Chol largely, and Ben Mackay has had no disposals in the first half.
Given that he's not an intercept defender and Chol has been a good avenue for the Hawks, Reid's in his 10th game, he's learning his craft, so you put the games and the mileage in there, but they've not got anything out of Mackay at all. So it's just a curiosity there, and I feel like the others, so Perkins has had 3, Hobbs has had 3, and Sardis has had 5. It's a big year for all 3 of those. Essendon are really waiting for those 3 to grow into what they might. So the first half's been hard going for them.
So he's going to stay on Hardwick because Hardwick's kicked a couple of goals, but we have some news which could affect their setup in the back line, and that is that Jordan Ridley has been subbed out with concussion. So Jay Gresham will take his place in the second half. So an enforced change, and Jordan Ridley has had so many injuries over the last couple of years. The best and fairest winner. We wish him all the best. Away into the third quarter. The lead is 35. Durham just a loose handball in hope. Came back for Caldwell. Almost through the legs of Big Meek. McGuinness tracks it down at centre-half back, or centre-half forward actually, and plays it to McGuinness, and there's Hardwick leading out to the footy. And Mackay does get his first possession. That's a good one to Redmond. And he targets Martin, who takes the mark at right half-back.
This is the part of the field that Essendon really need to look at, shifting the angle, possessing a little bit more. Even here, Hawthorn able to stop the uncontested marks and force the long kick down the line.
Yes, that's where they're stuck in the straight line game. Up went Caddy, good efforts. Got to play hurt. Caddy rolls onto the right, gives them a look deep. Langford's his target. Durham is coming in, free kick for the hold on the reach around.
That long down the line, that Caddy marks the first time we've seen Essendon win one of those long down the line. So it was a great effort, and once you've got possession in that contest, the next 50 metres puts the defence under real pressure, which is where we see the Langford free kick.
Kicked a goal in the second term. It's been prolific throughout his days, 172 career goals. Studies the angle, the Bombers for the first of the second half, and that will sneak in. Langford gives Essendon something to build on.
Yeah, love it. I think Caddy's competed beautifully in the first half. He got that bit of an injury, come back out in the field, he's been tested, so great contested mark. Like you said, Bucks, you know if you take that contested mark on the wing, that's the time to go quick. You don't have to blaze away, but you know you're going to have even numbers ahead of the ball. It gives his other big forward an opportunity down there. Creates a free kick. Frost panics without the extra help.
And just bring the ball to ground in that. Caddy, take that contested mark. I mean, that's a tremendous advantage, but just to compete there at that ground level contest, that's where Hawthorn have been far more dominant than Essendon. So to be able to take that and then go was a huge plus for them. And that's the hit that Scrimshaw laid on Ridley. There'll be a fair bit of discussion around that in the next couple of days with Ridley now out with concussion.
Yeah, so they're both out in the second half now with concussion from separate incidents.
Does elevate it from a 1 week conversation to a 3 week conversation though now for Scrimshaw.
Second go at it for the umpire, Draper. Bit of holding advantage, a significant one potentially. Caldwell, Sicily in front, too good in the air. Outpoints Perkins one more time.
Perfect position there by Sicily. He saw the ball, stepped around Perkins. Good mark.
Makes his mind up, puts his faith in Big Meek, who had a long way to bend down. He was able to do just that. Such an influential figure last week. Just his third possession. Hammond's been terrific. That's not his finest moment. Straight to Perkins, who's got Caddy deep, slightly to the right. Kako is also down there. He decides to make it Redmond's choice of just when to go. And the time is now. It's a low ball. Caddy read it well. He's matched, though, at the last by Meek, and they get back. McGuinness digging in. Handball McDonald. Kept it away for the potential danger to McKenzie. And now they're into their rhythm alone. Just stopped a little by Sicily and his errant handball. Battle had to go and retrieve. And now Dersma's getting dizzy from D'Ambrosio's tackle. Is that high? It is. That's Nick Martin's ball. Footy couldn't be in better hands. He teams up with McGrath.
McGrath links the hand pass up to Shield. No explosive run, but a lovely kick from Kako. He is presenting. What can he find out in the pocket? Draper flies. Might have been hampered by his own man, Jones. Draper manhandles his way back into the contest, and it took a good turn. Gresham fed it up to Durham. Down in the tackle in the nick of time, away to Draper. Slung the kick toward goal. Dersma's a chance here. He gathers and steadies and gives Merritt a look. It's touched on the way through. Oh, came a bit unstuck.
Just earlier on the other pocket, Essendon three big forwards all crashed into each other. They need to be able to separate.
The Ridley removal has given them a different look up forward. It's added Gresham. It's added energy, looking to buzz around. Draper onto the boot in an instant. And he draws it behind.
They're still looking very dangerous around stoppage. You know, if they can force those stoppages and force the contest, as Geordie was mentioned, when there's a long contest, it looks like Essendon are okay. It's in transition that Hawthorn have the advantage. The Sicily errant handball, it was something that we haven't seen much of in the first half. We saw it break down the chain.
Sicily chances his arm beautifully up to Battle, who looked intent to go. Martin holds him up, the umpire calls it square. Battle for Hardwick. Mackay gets himself into it. First intercept mark. Aggressive on the 45. Mackenzie saw it coming. Caldwell shot the arm. Hawks for the chance to attack the 50. Round to Ward, who bides his time. McDonald. Shoal is the deepest target. Smalls are all on the move. Donald to the goal square. So Charles going to make the contest. Brought it to ground underneath. Great stuff from Newcomb. Didn't find the target though. Behind makes it 29 points.
Just watch Essendon here now, how they build the ball up. Can't be relying on taking contested marks on the wing all the time. Can they just get into a situation where they can hit these uncontested marks? Made more difficult now without Jordan Ridley on the field. Obviously one of their prime movers off the back half.
Redmond back as a defender as a result of that. Pryor, outgoing ball, quite low, does enable him to fly. Pack was crashed, Gresham tapped it back, not really to anyone's advantage but his own. And they run into Frost, and everyone's guessing, and that is holding the ball. He double guessed. Shield takes off. Gresham trying to lift. Pulled the kick. Pulled it quite well. One of the taller wingmen in the game. Jones floats it over the top. Corbell has the left half forward flank to his own. Kicks for Caddy. Tackles it over.
It's a couple of weeks in a row now, Sam Frost's come on, and he's made a few questionable decisions. I wonder if that gets factored into your bona fides as a sub down the track.
The game is so much better for him on the ground, Bucks.
Agreed, and I love him as a player, but I think he's better as a full-quarter effort, you know, to be able to work his way into it.
Give him a moment to warm up, Bucks.
Bombers have the only goal of the term so far. Meat down to Frost. High ball on the way out. McDonald waited underneath. Shield made the spoil. Caldwell trying to get it back to Shield. There are plenty of Hawks in attendance. Moore away today. Rode the tackle and escaped out the front. McDonald and McGuinness combine. Kick up the wing. Chol, Hardwick at the back.
Kick.
Against
That might be a free kick against, but Hardwick took the mark because Ben Mackay slipped over. He's all at sea on a smaller player.
And the slipping continues. Not so with that kick though. To Perkins, he punches it into half forward. They put some pace on the game. Dersma's kick interrupted not once but twice. Kako gets bowled over by Barris. Now we'll have a ball up.
Cut off there by Sicily. Jade Gresham was on his own. Jade Gresham, sorry.
Draper matches the muscle of Meek and the heft. Tap out to Langford, who's already kicked two. Off to Gresham. Fires away. Caddy just out of reach. He does get hands to it. And the margin remains at 29.
Territory this quarter though. 6-3 the inside 50 count in favour of Essendon.
Gresham definitely adding some bite. Like in and around the contest, you can see his fresh legs, his work rate, maybe his hunger. Having been sat for a half, he's come on and he's been top of the ground.
Draper breaks clear. Can't do much with it. Towed away. Here's Merritt. Already kicked one from the tight angle. That one, let's say about row 20.
29-16. Clearances in favour of Essendon. However, Hawthorn have outscored them from that source.
Yeah.
Just haven't been able to capitalise.
Ward long to a contest on the way out. Plenty of arms reaching for it. Newcomb underneath. Arched the body. Got his kick away. So it's wide open up ahead. Set for Hardwick. Please, the Bomber fans go unrewarded.
Impey just sitting off the stoppage here, ready to run. if required, Morrison is a sweeping winger. It's where they've been getting their break the lines, trigger hands to be able to go forward.
Brian tapped it straight to Nash, so the Hawks are going to get it up near the 50. Not for long, though. Reed read it well.
He did, and he uses it. No margin for error on that kick either. Sardis does well. Gets the handball away instantly. There's pressure coming at Martin. Too much as it turned out. Desperate handball forward. Sixth vessel. Perkins breaks through, but not completely. They keep it alive through Hobbs. Jones with the finish, and what a finish it is! They are digging as deep as they can, and it was some of their youngsters that lifted. Perkins, Hobbs, Jones, they're the Essendon names that need to take them to the next level. Good signs early in the third term.
And it started with Zach Rate back with a fight, took a nice chest mark and took the risk to be able to hit the kick through the middle to Sardis. It wasn't clean. There was a couple of double looks. Wasn't instinctive gives, but they ended up coming in number to support each other. Even Perkins here had Hobbs out earlier. Hobbs was clean, and then that finish is class to lay it across the boot as in a banana sense and finish with off a step. It's a good sign to be able to move the ball end to end and score against an opposition that's been doing the same to you.
Back to 23 points. Bombers have the 2 goals of this third term. Brian down to Sardis, trying to get himself into it with the clearance. Not much on the kick though. It's wonky out to the wing. Morrison had it for a moment. Jones edged it clear, but Nash is there to tidy up. He'll pump the Hawks up towards the 50. Joel out of position this time, and Reed with a good spoil out over the boundary. Jordan Lewis.
One thing you can see down here, everyone's pointing from an Essendon point of view towards the corridor. So they only went at 7% in the first half, but it must be a clear instruction at halftime. Start to attack that part of the ground. Give yourself more opportunities going forward.
Ruckman pretty well shared it. Meek does the burrowing work underneath. Newcomb couldn't quite get hold of it. Merritt socked it to the boundary. That kick get knocked off the Sicily's ball. Pretty stagnant up ahead. So the kick to challenge. Meek and Chol. Chol arrives with a well-timed leap again.
Well, they couldn't take an uncontested mark this quarter, Hawthorn, so decided to go long down the line. Great contested mark by Chol. We saw it about 10 minutes ago by Nate Caddy, led to a goal. Big forward comes steaming out, strong set of hands.
So the other thing that Hawthorn have done well is McDonald actually took Mackay to the goal square. So Mackay and Reed weren't in the same contest, weren't in the same vicinity, which allows Hawthorn's only tool in Chol to go to work against a one key defender.
Led Hawthorn's goal kicking last year. That's the angle Mabior Chol is looking at. Left foot drop punt. Near side all the way.
He pulled that other one in the first half as well. Just swings the leg across, pulls it to the right.
37 goals last year. 1 goal 2 so far tonight. Redmond. Choosy, but in the end he just goes short. Took Roberts, who's going to switch Essendon back right along that last line to Pryor. So the exit ultimately is to the members' side. After a bounce, Pryor, in his first game for Essendon, kicks towards Jones, who's back on the wing, can't mark. Durham is the tackler, scrounging over the top. Hardcore stuff at half forward for Hawthorn. Hobbs breaks the shackles, uses Mackay to get to McGrath. Handball did no favours whatsoever for Redmond. Strong enough of mind and body, and they're away now. Martin, McGrath, Roberts out to the wing. Big contest. Ambrose in front. Outpointed by Dersma. Mark not paid. Now the scramble's on the outer wing, and the scramble is mad as it's been all night. And we will have a ball up and appreciation shown by the fans of both sides on a hot March night at the MCG. Dersma made his claims, but ultimately couldn't quite complete the mark.
Sam Mitchell down on the bench. Brian with the initial tap. Mackenzie, though, the footy. Shares it with Newcomb. He kicks it out on the full.
Once again, Hawthorn have responded to the 2 goals that Essendon have kicked this quarter. Blake Hardwick's gone behind the ball as a 7th. It's obviously a phase that they're not afraid to go to, not only to arrest momentum, but they can score going back the other way.
McGrath in the caddy direction. Oh, strong grab. Outreached Barris. Nate Caddy out into the pocket. Langford hit the ball hard, dropped it, gives it off. Dersma around to Merritt, turns goal side. Needed something inboard. Perkins was his target. He overkicked him and Dane pitches it.
Worth a crack, though. I mean, he tried to lace a player up. He was prepared to change the angle. Saw 80% of the field and thought, no, I don't like any of those, so I'll just put it to the 20% I can't see.
Also the kicking mode. Revised decision from D'Ambrosio rather than Long. Takes the risk out and they work their way right along the boundary to Sicily. Behind the wing, but not for long. Chances the arm on a longer kick for Newcomb. Dersma disrupts. Newcomb keeps at it. Finds himself inside 50. And at the last moment, he centres it for Joel. Another mark. Inside 50 for Mabio Joel. This one after the labours of Giant Newcomb. And this one with a much easier shot to come.
Yeah, he's been terrific. He's dangerous forward half as well. John Newcomb, set up by James Sicily's kick. Good decision there. Tough.
Some tired boys. He's watching the Bombers come off just down below us here.
Pickle juice, Hutto.
Yep. Trudging off. The scoreboard not making it any easier. They've kicked the only 2 goals, though, of this third quarter, Essendon. The response from Hawthorn is on the boot from Mabio Chol, who pokes at it a little, but it is able to get there, and a flex at the start of the third from Mabio Chol. He's kicked his second, and oh yeah, the Hawks, they lead by 30 points once again.
He's never been a player that kicks with a lot of momentum into his set shots of goal, but it seems like there's a little bit less than normal. But John Newcomb, firstly the ability to win that ground level ball and then take his yards, but then the composure to not blaze away, to lower his eyes and to find a leading player was excellent.
Swing back.
The guy has looked uncomfortable forward, though, hasn't he, Bucks? I mean, you spoke about before, they're trying to drag him deep, so it's quite often been Hardwick on occasions. They don't want him on that contest centre wing. They want him inside the forward 50 where he wants to watch the ball, and on that occasion it was a great little tick lead by Marby Oldchild. No body contact by Mackay. Nice little leader.
Hawks by 30 again. Draper was favoured by the bounce. Down to Sardis. Took on the tackle. Didn't do a lot with it, though. Moore trying to wriggle clear.
Doesn't matter who you are there. Sorry, Jared. It doesn't matter who you are as a defender, though. That's a tough situation when you've got a class midfielder makes a decision like that. Instead of blazing away, find the easy target.
Caldwell with the presence of mind to take it. Out to Merritt. On to Hobbs. Out wide to Martin. What can he find inside 50? Searing ball. He went for Kako, who trapped it but didn't mark it. It'll be balled up.
It was an interesting decision there to go for Kako, wasn't it? Caddy was on his own for a short kick.
That's the third time that Kako's got on the lead. He's been used twice and finished, so he must be presenting well for the ball carrier.
Hobbs does all the menacing work. Couldn't quite find the opening.
Some guys can lead to the ball and just demand it, and it doesn't really matter what size you are. It's more about the timing and the direction.
He's got presence, the kid, already.
Hard to handle the footy, and in the end, Amon involuntarily smothered by Nash. And they can only have a quick chuckle about it as the ball pinged back over the boundary line and out of bounds. 2-1 in this third term. The margin is 30, so they've made ground, but not a lot, Essendon. Pressing here. Draper seems to have a want to grab it out of the ruck. Kako's on the move. He's thinking that might, but the snap just the wrong side as dad and family watch on. His mum's watching with his sister over in the States, who's just had a baby, so we send our greetings to her and them. They must have enjoyed the start of this game and be very proud.
Well, they'll be enjoying this too, because he's having a real crack. He looks like he belongs at the level.
Hardwick on the kick-in duties. Draper made the spoil. McDonald's double grabs and Draper whisked it away. Out past to Caldwell, who works it on. Perkins to the teeth of goal. Now Caddy set himself against 2. Barris got hands to it. Ball tantalisingly on the line momentarily.
Caddy makes some good contest for a 19-year-old. He's still got obviously a fair bit of development to go with his body strength and size against the experience.
He's not on the mark either, is he?
No, he's not. Tom Barras, best and fairest winner for West Coast.
And almost drew the free kick on that occasion, but didn't. Sicily settles just outside the defensive 50, scopes out what's ahead. Always looking for something better than is immediately obvious, and maybe a little too flirtatious that time. Morrison couldn't get hold of it. Instead, it's Caldwell's drilling ball to Hobbs, who's growing in confidence. Martin to Kako. Again, not great service. Again, the improvisation was terrific. Gresham back outside. Shield poking ball. I need a bit of luck. They get more than that. Perkins, it's got to be. Puts it through. And something for Brad Scott and the Bombers.
Perkins has spent a lot of time on Sicily throughout the match, and in particular this quarter. Sicily was stretching his calf, a little bit of cramp after the efforts on left of screen there, and Perkins was able to continue working towards the goal square. Essendon, it hasn't been pretty, but they've just continued to turn up for one another, and they've actually manufactured a couple of goals just through weight of numbers. Gresham's added a little bit of buzz. Kako's been great. Perkins is starting to come into it now. Caddy's contests have been excellent. Yeah. Good signs.
Just keep scrounging away, Essendon. Just being at the ground and looking at the players from both teams, it feels as if Essendon's got the greater energy levels at the moment. So Hawthorn just hit the brick wall a little bit here. Early in the season, different levels of fitness.
It's the first time that we've seen Hawthorn chains sort of hit the ground with a handball or miss a kick. And Essendon are taking advantage of that through the midfield.
The Bombers nagging away. Caldwell to Sardis. Gets under the kick toward the 50. Gresham and Sicily. Gresham edge. Sicily underneath. Hobbs as a result. No direction on the kick.
The ground level players for Essendon have been very good this quarter. Kako's obviously namely the one that's led the charge there. Gresham's been good since he's come on, as you say, but he's changed the complexion of that forward line. A little bit more nimble at ground level.
Really obvious here what Essendon have done. They've gone hard man on man, so there's no zone anymore, and Hawthorn's opportunity to kick the ball around has been taken away. Essendon just saying, well, if you're going to beat us, you've got to beat us in a contest. We're not going to play the uncontested game.
Roberts not subtle enough. Watson has the free kick. Took some time to assess what was on offer. It has to be long down the line. Meek set himself. Mackay across the front. McKenzie's the crummer. Hand pass. Fumbled by McDonald. Had time to get it back, but sold a puck to Amon. Ball it up.
They just need some territory here, Hawthorn. They spent some time in their forward half. They've only had 12 forward inside 50 count this quarter in favour of Essendon.
Moore's taken McGrath back to the Hawthorn goal square, but the footy's going the other way. Sardis gaining some ground for his team. Good contest from Draper and Langford, who keeps at it. Battles there, waiting. There's Hobbs, it goes the other way. Sicily, the game just stops when he gets the footy. Even though there's so much chaos all around. It's coming back, Caldwell, nimble of feet, and beautifully delivered to Martin right on the chalk. The boundary umpire and the field umpire were both on the spot. Field umpire Jamie Broadbent says that is the mark.
That was a tight kick by James Sicily. They're under pressure, the Hawthorn defenders.
Nick Martin back as a forward this year.
Brad Scott will be in the boxing. Okay, so Hardwick's going behind as a 7. That's a +1 defender. Am I going to match that up and make it a 7v7 forward line so I can take those uncontested marks away again?
And what do you think the answer is, Bucks?
I think he'll be seriously considering it. It depends if Hardwick gets involved in this, if Hawthorn can work their way out of the back half. Like in this particular play, there's the extra. So that'll be the question that they'll work out. If Hawthorn get through here, it'll be a pretty easy answer. You've got to square that guy up.
Amon is looking for Sicily. It's a dicey ball. Sicily did ever so well. 3 bites to almost knock it to advantage. Gresham, though, flies back. Kako, brilliant stuff, low down. Great gather, Langford, who might have done his hammy on the way down to it. They'll fight for it. Sardis spills out without it. Ward clears momentarily, but it'll only be a momentary reprieve. Bryan with footy in hand. Squares it off. Durham to Redmond on the run. Gives it all he's got. It's to the left. 20 points from 35 at half-time.
Not happy here. Cole Langford got low for that, and that's obviously when
it's been a good target this quarter.
Looks like he's jagged.
He's been durable the last 2 years too. And important for them. Day comes away. Sense the importance of this phase. Ginnivan down the line to Watson in prime position on McGrath. Back to the goal square, Moore. And in a flash, as they have all night, the Hawks have got the answer. Doesn't he pack a punch, Dylan Moore? They spread the ground so quickly, and at their best, they're nigh on unstoppable. The lead is back to 26. And for all the good the Bombers have done, they haven't made up enough.
That is the risk you take when you press high. If you press high to take away that uncontested mark and then the kick goes down the line 50, 60, and then you lose that contest, you do expose yourself in the back half. But if I'm Brad Scott, I'll say, look, I'm going to wear that. I'm going to wear that because we're not going to give them those uncontested marks in the back half. If they get through every now and then, that's fine, because quite clearly the game is shifting towards Essendon, so I wouldn't be worried about that one. Just keep pressing, keep taking the game to them, hold the ball in our front half and see how it plays out.
Certainly has hurt them behind the ball with Jordan Ridley's loss going off half-time. Gresham's been good in the forward half, but just Ben Mackay slow to react to get across there to help with that Watson contest.
The Redmond miss. It's so heavily over that phase of play. Day spilled it out the side. Onto it went Durham. They all came to him. Holding the ball. No mercy.
Inside 50s this quarter, 16-5 in Essendon's favour.
D'Ambrosio.
Carl Langford went straight down into the rooms, guys. That hammy not looking good.
Toward the 50, no penetration on the kick, and Shield waited underneath. Checked his kick and did it well. Drew Perkins to him. Perkins can have a look inboard. Martin ran to space and the kick is up to scratch. Nothing untoward and the ball spilling clear. Merritt was momentarily on. Martin. It's a well-set defence up ahead. So they'll probe around through Shield. What might he find? Out into the pocket for Draper. Too strong on the kick. Throw it in.
It's interesting that space was there for Draper for a couple of seconds. An instinctive forward would have been up into it maybe a half a second earlier, which would have given Dylan Shield even more confidence about where he needed to put the ball, but the connection just wasn't there.
Bombers hunting again in the last 3 minutes of a tense third quarter at the MCG. Meek had his jumper tucked, play on the call. Perkins, oh gee, just for a moment they went and threatened, but putting a line to that, it's missed everything by about 20 metres.
It was an exciting miss though, Hutto. Archie Perkins, it's good to see him get busy this quarter. Even in the first 5 minutes of this quarter, he looked like he was still ball watching a little bit, but now he's had a few touches of the leather. He's got the appetite up.
Right, but at Kako, that's almost got through the legs of Hardwick as well. He's done a bit of work kicking the ball out of the air tonight, Kako. Talked about how a lot of his family and friends with his Iraqi upbringing, or background at least, as we watch Langford getting the repairs that were soccer players, but from his brother finding favour of the Bombers, he followed suit.
Battle bangs it into play. Draper read it well, couldn't take the mark. Newcomb underneath. Watson, good play to Ginnivan. Not a great hand pass to aim on. Ginnivan has to have another go. It floated. Watson! Didn't quite bring it down though. Meek played crummer, so they're all out of position. Morrison away to Ward. Kick to an open setup again. McInnes has got a couple to beat. He'll arrive against the boundary and hold it up at least to let the cavalry arrive.
These blokes let you down. We've had goal of the year and mark of the year. We dropped him and missed the kick.
He didn't stick the landing.
No. The Wizard got winded, I think.
Oh, that's a hard land.
Essendon elected to keep the +1 behind the ball. It's Zach Reid, so he doesn't have a lot of experience there, and he was out position when McInnes got the ball over the back.
Moore got clipped high. That's Watson coming from the far side, heading for the bench. Dylan Moore, with so much footy played at the other end of the ground, Hawthorn have been able to strike. Skipped a goal in this term. Moore's looking for his second from range. Terrific ride. That's a hard heartbreaker for the Bombers. So much toil, but to very little avail. The Hawks by 31.
What a great finish.
Kick well, haven't they? The set shots. Beautiful there.
Well, all night their efficiency has been the difference in the game. And it was the disposal efficiency through the first half, and in the third quarter it's their inside 50 efficiency and their ability to score when they go in there. So that's 3 goals from 7 or 8 entries where Essendon have got a similar amount of goals from 3 times the entry. So it's just been Hawthorn's efficiency throughout the night to find the right play at the right time to put the scoreboard where it is.
8 goals through from set shots, the Hawks. 2-3 to Essendon.
That was he had to make a decision. Was he going to take the mark, or was he going to absolutely...
Top comes away with a kick to Merritt. He's got Martin running. You can see he was hankering the handball to him, but well guarded on the mark by Day. Instead to half forward, Perkins and Sicily duel it out. Sicily wasn't going too far away. D'Ambrosio under all sorts of pressure. Amon, he's just fallen in his back ever so slightly there, Caldwell. And Hobbs. And the free kick goes the way of the Hawks. Carl Amon. Beautiful user of the ball. 7 inside 50s in the first half from Amon's boot set up. 3 scores, 2 of them goals. Hardwick on the way again. In 2 kicks, they've gone from defence to the 50 where they're circling, and it's a free kick. Hawthorn's way to Moore again. And this is only just beyond him. Can you believe there was no one on Ginnivan? This will be a real test for Jack Ginnivan. Been quiet in this quarter, but there's a couple of goals under his belt. Clock counts down. Jack Ginnivan. He thinks he can.
He had the distance easy, didn't he? That's gone 10 rows back.
So the siren sounds, and it heralds disappointment for the Bombers despite having 17 inside 50s, a return of just 3 goals, 6. Sam Mitchell and his troops much more efficient. 7 visits forward for 3 goals, 3. And this MCG crowd are witnessing an outstanding second-half performance from the Hawks. Super Saturday tomorrow, all day. Sit on the couch and take it in. It starts at Kardinia Park in Geelong, and it just keeps on going for 12 solid hours.
You're watching from
Abior Joel has been front and centre. He carries a big load as the only tall key forward. He's had plenty of shots tonight. 2 goals, 2. And the celebrations are back, as subtle as they might be. What a night it is here at the MCG in the heat in March. And what a night, what a year it could be for Hawthorn. They lead by 32 points. Plenty has taken place. And to update you, let's get down to Ruby and John Ralph.
Thanks, Haddo. Ralphie, plenty going on down here. Nick Watson, the most recent one. We saw an almost Mark of the Year contender. Didn't quite pull off for him, but how did you see the contest?
It seemed like he was 5 metres off the ground, but what comes up has to go down. And unfortunately, we saw Nick Watson's head visibly bouncing off the ground. As you can see there, that perfect ride. And so he was very quickly got off the ground there. He'll be having an HIA with the Hawthorn doctors yet. Haven't got word on whether he's ready to resume, but he seemed in okay shape. Certainly they'll be having a concussion test for Nick Watson as we speak.
And for the Bombers fans, look away. Your leading goal kicker from last season has gone off with clutching his right hamstring.
That's right.
Look too good.
Yeah, he's already been ruled out for the contest, and you'd imagine the better part of a month. He's played every game in the last 2 years, 46 in total for those 94 goals. He is their star forward. So this is the incident here, a low ball from Isaac Kako. He knew straight away his hamstring was done, with Adelaide to come next week at the MCG, and then, of course, 2 or 3 weeks after that.
And in the second quarter, there was an incident between Jack Scrimshaw and Jordan Ridley. Do you think Jack Scrimshaw has much to answer to?
Well, certainly Michael Christian will assess the impact here, but he has to believe that this is a reportable incident for the subsequent concussion for Jordan Ridley to matter. Now, if he decides it's a striking incident, what was potentially low level, which could have been a fine, all of a sudden has to be elevated to severe under the AFL's precedent there. 4 concussions there, so there's no middle ground. It's either potentially a fine or he could be missing for 3 weeks. We'll find that out on tomorrow morning.
There'll be close eyes on that one. Brownie Bucks asked the question, what do the Bombers have to do to work their way into this game to possibly get the 4 points?
Well, they dominated territory that quarter, 17-4, so they obviously just need to hit the scoreboard. I really like their ground level presence and their pressure. They look like they had more energy than Hawthorn, but Hawthorn got momentum late in that quarter and just re-established dominance on the scoreboard. So need to start here with this centre-bound squad.
Nick Watson starts the final term on the field, so he's got the all clear, but Carl Langford, it's a disruption for the start of his season. Final term at the MCG this Friday night. It'll take something special from the Bombers. Draper and Meek ready themselves for the opening bounce of the final stanza. Ruckman go to work. Meek reached back, won the tap. Ball skills are out. Draper got it forward, but only as far as D'Ambrosio. Forged away, clear. Nash sold Day into awful trouble. Merritt's was a good touch to open things up. McGrath gives ground. Shield picks off the kick. Straight to Sicily. It's a poor turnover.
Yeah, it makes it difficult down there. They don't have the 4 targets, so they have to be reluctant to kick the ball long, especially with Langford going on the field, Draper in the ruck sometimes.
Sicily back down the line. Watson, not just out there, he's straight into the thick of it. Driving kick again. Hugging the flanks, so it's over.
Where they've improved throughout the game was that Dylan Shield possession was lower the eyes and hit the next 20-metre kick, and then the entry has got a little bit more time to be able to be directed where you want it.
They've limited intercept marks today, so Hawthorn have only taken 8. They took 22 last week against Sydney, so that's been a tick.
Meek and Draper. Meek on his knees still found a way to influence the ruck tap. Durham prepared to take a bit of a gamble. Morrison versus Roberts, call that a draw. Sharp hands Hobbs, sets him away. Roberts with a bounce, put the brake on. Unfortunately, Caddy wasn't reading the cues. Did that bounce? It did bounce. And Barris cornered and has to be holding the ball. For some reason, the umpires are forgiving when they don't know whether they think the player has claimed the mark. And yet, they don't show any sympathy for someone who falls over.
Another bump ball. We are on a cricket ground. Yeah, the reason they didn't want to kick it long there is because they had 3 Hawthorn defenders ahead of the ball and just Nate Caddy.
Caldwell ball to boot, but without any real likelihood of being able to kick the goal.
Is it just me, or is there a possibility that Barris actually got his hand under that ball? And maybe the umpire didn't know whether he was right or not, so he gave him the benefit of the doubt. Is that right, Ado?
I think it's just you.
Okay. You're probably right.
I think he's away here.
Oh, he has raced into open space and Sicily saw him coming. Will it sit? Impey knocks it out in front of himself. Now it sits all the way to half forward. Pulls the kick from McDonald. That is the short way home.
I love that.
That exact kick-in was used in the last quarter against Sydney. It would have been in the scouting report. It would have been shown in the opposition. Either Brad Scott is pulling his hair out because they didn't focus on it enough, or he's pulling his hair out about his players that didn't see it happening.
That's good coaching, though, because you identified Bucks that third quarter that Essendon had gone one-on-one. So in that scenario, you get a clean break. On the open side, Sicily saw that.
Conor McDonald has watched his kindred spirits in a scoring spree, and now he will grab himself a slice of the action. The Hawks get the first of the final term. 37 points is as far as we've been.
There's actually a similarity in the flow of the game. The Hawthorn game against Sydney last week compared to this one. They dominate the first half. The opposition come back a little bit. And that run from Impey is huge. And see what Hawthorn have had a look at in the three-quarter time is like Essendon go man on man. Okay, let's take them to a space where we want them to be so we can open up a space for someone else to run into. That's just great coaching, a response again from Sam Mitchell and the Hawthorn team against the tactics of the opposition through the third quarter.
The young and the old of Hawthorn. It is an alluring combination at the moment. Jarman Impey, game 200 next week. And a wonderful acquisition for Hawthorn. Enjoying the time now when success has returned. Meek out of the middle. As he's pushed though. The free kick is going to Redmond. Quickly off the shield. To half forward Gresham. He's got to watch out because Sicily should have the advantage in the marking contest. Did well to break even. Now Draper, an opportunity which he wants to take. But you're never quite sure what's coming next. And Draper has the footy. There's a lot of good, but there's occasionally an out of the full.
Well, he had his team's best user in a handball position, 5 metres directly in front of him to Nick Martin, who would have finished that 9 times out of 10 from 45 metres.
Got to rush above the big fella.
It's 2 behinds and an out on the full from Draper tonight. Meek and Draper formed up in the marking contest. Ambrosio underneath. Trying for Hardwick. Mackay better positioned.
He struggled to get into the game. Ben Mackay only second intercept mark for the day. 4th disposal.
Short for Martin. Have to be a kick and hope unless somebody's prepared to work. It is the kick and hope. Frost flew, couldn't mark. Underneath, Perkins swooped on the footy. Gave it away to Caldwell, leaning on it and finding it through. He has had a stack of it, Caldwell. And with disposal number 33, kicks the goal.
Right, tried his heart out, no question about that. One of these young midfielders. Had some really good footy the last couple of years, establishing himself as a first-rate midfielder for this Essendon team. Young Essendon midfield, 10 clearances, had 9 score involvements as well, 17 contested possessions, those 32, 9 tackles. He's got a tremendous work rate. He's a real goer, puts the overalls on. Brad Scott would love the way he goes about his footy.
Last 9 games of last year, 4 of those. He had 30-plus disposals, and you can add tonight to that.
Well, just that simple first give from Perkins as well, it actually puts the next player in the space. Now, whether that's a shot on goal or whether it gives him an extra step with that time and space to make the next best decision, those first gives are so important. Trust your teammates.
So theoretically, at least, there is time. Bryant with a left hand down the throat of Durham, who was looking for a friendly face. Perkins, nothing friendly about the Hawks. Nash all over him, draped with those hands, ready to go at it again. Bryant again wins his share of the tap. Durham redoubles his efforts. Sardis's kick out to the wing. McKenzie swooping on it first. Handball, then he provided the protection for Amon, who got buffeted as he sent it forward to Ward and then to McDonald. They've found the space, although Nash right back into the traffic and turns it straight over. He puts the tackle on Merritt, which slowed the Bombers' escape. Nifty hands from Shield, awkward for Hobbs. Clever as he was, needed the bounce to go his way to Dersma. They're out the other side. Untidy from Sardis, leaning down his caddy. There's an open square. He sends it that way. away, and Frost was reading it and reading it well. Didn't mark, but it doesn't matter. Again, they are denied.
Yeah, Jones on his own there. Just needed a bit more momentum with that kick. Caddy on tired legs. Probably a bit sore too from that hit in the first half.
Yeah, not moving really freely, is it?
Hawks by 31. Bombers deep in attack. Draper, Merritt, Gresham, dispossessed. Good solid stuff in defence. Meek got stuck with a parcel for a long time. Newcomb squeezed the kick out. McGrath's got a mind to get hold of it. Sheridan with Durham, brushed his way clear and then tumbled over. We have seen that over and over as Bombers players. The wheels have gone and they've ended up in the kitty litter.
That particular part of the ground seems to have got 45 boys, isn't it?
Might have needed to go in for a pit stop or two tonight, the Bombers, with their footwear.
It's been a bit of a slippery track to deal with. Draper out of the ruck, up to full forward. It had too much carry for Caddy.
See if we can make any more free.
References, absolutely. Territory hasn't been a problem, has it? Yeah, look at 49 inside 50s to Essendon, 37 to Hawthorn. Just been able to score too easily, Hawthorn.
Margin still 31. Caddy waits in the goal square. Frost by his side. Shortish throw in. Draper in front. Didn't try and grab it out. Hit it back towards the boundary. And Hobbs cops one from Newcomb. Still they toil away without any result. MCG back with a vengeance over the last 24 hours. Drama last night. The Hawks have had control of this one. And they're not letting go easily. Draper fell over. Meek grabbed it. Just dribbled a kick away. Chance for Gresham. Perkins waiting in just the right spot. And Sicily was there to defuse again.
He's been good this quarter, Sicily. He was magnificent in the last quarter as a forward last week against Sydney when he swung forward.
Haven't needed to, have they, this week?
Haven't needed to, no. He stayed back. Charles been good ahead of the ball. Kept Sicily there behind the ball. Obviously, Scrimshaw went off with the sub.
Morrison, one of the real survivors for the Hawks, out to Barras, the new arrival. Taking plenty of time over it in the 10th minute of the final term. Long down the line, Weddle has a fly. Ball to be won underneath. Jones found the path that opened up in front of him and used it ever so well. Hobbs, too far out himself. He's going to set it up for Draper. Frost wears him close and safely. Gresham onto the loose ball, doubles back, opens the possibilities and kicks a beauty. Jag Gresham with the highlights. And the Bombers are hanging around.
He's added something, Jared. You know, since he came on as that sub, of course, when Jordan Ridley went down with concussion at half-time, Gresham's really added some life at ground level, and they've had plenty of territory. I think their ground level players, Kako included, amongst others, have been very good. They just haven't been able to hit the scoreboard and finish. This time Gresham makes the most of the opportunity. Missed tackle there by Impey.
There was a lot of class in that bit of play. Harrison Jones initially sort of go, and then lowered his eyes to hit Hobbs. Caddy was on. Caddy's lead was brilliant. He'd left Battle behind him. If Hobbs had lowered his eyes, he would have found him a little bit more. But Jade Gresham, I think, potentially stung by being a sub.
Yeah, it's good.
He's come in with a bit of energy, with a lot of energy. He's used his fresh legs. He's been damaging and dangerous in the front half. They've had plenty of supply, and he's taking advantage of it.
Out of the middle, free kick. Hawthorn, McKenzie has run from behind from Impey. Forwards in a straight line, are ready to lead now as McKenzie gives them the service. Looks the kick back. Weddle unfettered. Takes the mark. Bombers had to do better.
Yeah, a number of these Hawthorn players have got flexibility in their positioning. This is one man that can do. He can play in defence, he can play forward, play in the ruck. Just floats forward there.
Yeah, drifted forward last week for about a quarter before they moved Sicily. Such a versatile player, like so many of his teammates. 10 goals, 8 last year. To quell any would-be uprising. Josh Weddle, straight through, as the Hawks have done all night. They've had the answers to take almost all the tension out, and they are well on their way. The margin is back at 30 points.
Yeah, they've put a lot of levers, haven't they, Hutto? Their ability to be able to control transition, even though they were well behind the 8 ball in terms of clearance and sometimes in territory, to be able to come off the ropes, off their back foot and be able to just move the ball at will through the first half. They were challenged in a man-on-man contest. Essendon were prepared to press, but they just keep finding a way to hold Essendon at arm's length. A centre bounce goal 3 or 4 times now, right when they've needed one, just to keep that margin at bay. 5 goals at the moment.
Swatting the Bombers away. Brian put it there. Chol hacked it off the turf. Watson onto it. Wrapped up high by Redmond. Missed one early. It's the high contact now. Spreads it out to D'Ambrosio. Hawthorn unhurried. The scoreboard is well and truly their ally.
Those 6 goals on end in the first quarter really has been the game, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been the difference, Hutto. No question.
Day gives the forwards a look. Newcombe across the front. Ball still to be dealt with in defence. McInnes kept it alive, hoping for Newcombe. Caldwell inserted himself.
Just on that period of the game too, Hutto, Essendon had momentum there. And if you actually look at the territory on the night, they've 11 ahead on the inside 50 count. That's 6 goals against in about 10 minutes.
Ryan down to Martin. Ooh, he took a long time to absorb tackles. Ball spills clear. Ginnivan kicks smothered by Dersma straight across his boots. Brian, Sardis, McGrath, not safe with ball in hand. Ward trying for a target, picked off by McGrath. Thumps it outside the area. Gresham sees it coming.
He worked out a method. Gresham turns to the inside to Jones. Caddy and Kako are waiting inside the 50, but they've turned it over. They've run aground in the middle, and the murmur swings all around the MCG as the ball swings out to the southern side with Josh Ward.
Sicily again, just creating that smother.
Taking his chance tonight into the team for Warple. Along on the left. Chol waits at the back of the pack. It's never arrived because Mackay with the intercepts. She off one step. He just had enough oomph on the kick to find Perkins, who has Martin out wide, and he can see a path forward to Jones. Have they got the run in the legs here, Essendon?
Still just shy of halfway in this final term. James told to get it moving. It's a long retreat. Reed wasn't committed to the switch. So Pryor called into action. What are they thinking here? They would like to go to the warm side of the ground. McGrath searching for the right target. He's left that short. Brian, though, picked it up off the laces.
That's where the handball opportunity is. McGrath ran past, buzzed the mark on Brian. Hawthorn would give that 100% of the time because it opens up the defence.
That's the kick back into the middle for Caldwell. He couldn't land and run. So Pryor up again. Further advanced than the last time he had it. Slips the hand pass to Roberts. Has the wide option to Martin. Will he make a beeline toward the 50? He does. Draper's his man. With the height advantage, takes the mark. Labour intensive, but they'll get their shot at goal, the Dogs.
Well, you can't be disappointed with the outcome, and they've definitely been able to put a chain of possessions together, deciding to kick mark, shift the opposition defence, not keen to handball or work it into a run and carry scenario, but ultimately ends up with one of the best users, puts it in front of Draper and takes a nice contested mark.
Is he going to become a consistent goal kicker for the Bombers? Sam Draper, perfect. 4 goals is still that tantalising margin that they draw to once more.
Yeah, the game's still on, no question about that. Just who can get the momentum. Quite often we've seen Hawthorn in these situations, they've been able to respond, haven't they? Good effort there by Draper. He had a smaller man on him, Morrison, so you don't mind him leading. I'm not that keen on him leading when he's got a big opponent who can go with him on the lead and spoil the ball, but on this occasion he's able to take a good strong mark and this part of the game he has to develop. If he's going to play 50% of the game time forward, you need to develop your set shot goal kicking. Good kick.
Essendon 10 more inside 50s and now more scoring shots than Hawthorn, which those metrics don't quite sound right with the way that Hawthorn have been able to, for the large part, control the game. But Essendon haven't gone away. They've been plucky. They've been competitive. They've been more than nuisance value and have stayed in the match.
Biggest lead of the game was 37 points early in the last quarter. Within 24, the Hawks are so resilient. Long Langford, the Wizard wore one. Shield did well with the handball back to Reed. And a great smarter for the lunging Watson. Poor handball, Ward straight onto it. Mackay simply had to against McGuinness. Pryor found a way to fumble it over the line. And they get a chance to breathe.
80,700 in the building at the G tonight. The Hawks' highest home crowd in 14 years.
Wow.
Biggest home and away crowd that's ever seen these two teams play for all their storied history.
Are we headed for a grandstand finish? Bryant taps it. Bombers can't give one up here. Moore, Shield, Watson. Headlong into Caldwell, and there was no getting out.
Great tackle.
It was. Taps it back to Newcomb. Ready for him. And Mackenzie. Nice collect from Redmond onto the boot. And a jiffy up to the wing. Not that time for Draper. The maimed caddy did really well. Gresham straight at Barris. Didn't flinch. Durham never does. Caldwell through the middle. The MCG opens up. Gresham receives the imperfect handball from Merritt, who wants it back, the Essendon captain. And without looking, he tried to find him. Kako in the picture. Back to Merritt again. It's hard, Yaka, but it all pays off. Dersma. They are coming with a run, the Bombers. Dersma kicks his second. And suddenly it's back to 18 points.
A lot of tight Hawthorn players out there. A few ones for Essendon as well, but they look better at ground level. They just get the ball on the ground. They keep the momentum, just keep running. It feels as if there's going to players open up, as we saw there. They nearly mucked it up with a bad kick, but they just kept persisting. Great effort by Kako again, just keeps the ball alive, as does Merritt. Good finish by Dersma. Critical centre bounce coming up now. Can they capitalise on their stoppage numbers here, Essendon?
Well, if the game goes to script and Hawthorn get this centre clearance and go forward and kick a centre bounce, because they've been able to do that every time they've been challenged.
You can feel that the next goal matters more now than it has done all night. Hawks by 18 points. They grapple in the middle for it. Hawks took a bit of territory off the ground from Nash. Martin onto it, charged down by Morrison was good stuff. Mackay couldn't deal with it. Ball back in dispute. Hard fought to match the circumstances. Every yard is worth plenty. Ginnivan outside of the boot. No mark at the top of the square. Waiting for it was McDonald. More. Beautiful step. Great snap. And pain for Essendon. It's a familiar frustration. This time Dylan Moore with his third. And again pushed back into their box.
And it's a sign of a really good team to be able to rise when challenged and to understand the moment. And that one wasn't pretty. That was just forcing the ball forward, bullocking it forward, being able to just take territory, put the Essendon defence under pressure, and then Moore's just clean. Looks like he's going to go in, knows exactly what he's doing, just to get his defender to get his weight on his right foot. Then I'm going to go back the other way, which gives him an extra bit of space to be able to finish.
He's had a game, hasn't he? Dylan Moore, 3 goals to Watson as well.
They're only All-Australian last year, Dylan Moore. Yeah, 3 to Watson, 3 to Moore, 2 to Ginnivan.
Yeah, the small forward's been dangerous.
Gore's only slightly ajar now, 24 points. Clock becomes the enemy as well for Essendon. Day, not as influential tonight. Mackenzie whacking away in there. So too Durham took some territory. Slight fumble Gresham. Hobbs came through with enthusiasm, but not the footy. Perkins, a poke. Sardis up to McGrath. The smother. Suddenly it turns Hawthorn's way. It was also done difficult for Nash and Day and Meek and Durham. Can someone break clear? It won't be Morrison. Well, it will be Morrison. And Brad Scott, it's his frustrations show. Pounding the desk in disappointment. Morrison with the free. He's able to find more, and the Hawks are in no hurry.
Massive falcon to Josh Battle then. He's used his head for good and evil tonight.
And they chew up a couple of minutes here, Hawthorn on the clock. 7 minutes, still lifetime in football these days.
Essendon have deployed pretty well. Only that short ball to McInnes. Martin has been reading the play, fancying that wasn't going to be 15. The whistle sounds. Long down the line, pivotal contest to be won. Meek leads up to it. Reed made the spoil. Underneath Perkins, opens it up to Kako. Gives a bit of ground to Shield. Stands to deliver. Oh, that's no good. No good at all. A nest of Hawks, and Ward brings it up to McInnes. Kinnaman's the deep target here as he rushes back to goal. Draper. It was a mismatch in the air. Draper seesawed over the top.
He used his athleticism for good. Hall Pryor, gutsy kick down the middle. Mark Pay to Durham, who never gives up. 22nd disposal coming up for the number 22. Out to the wing, Gresham and Dersma had to weigh it. It was awkward, but they get away with it just. McGrath thought about bouncing. Instead, he kicks long into deeper water in the pocket. Standoff Weddle and Hobbs. No whistle, Frost. Handball back to Hardwick. Quick kick disrupted. It's up for grabs, Merritt. Not a mark as it was touched on the way through. Desperately taps for Hobbs. Stand start. High kick, top of the goal square from Bryan. Martin couldn't quite climb high enough. Hardwick sees to it with Morrison's assistance. And the Hawks do what they have to do again for Sam Mitchell.
Been a great role player, Harry Morrison. On the wing, can go to half back, can go to half forward when required, runs all day, and his contest, his tackling has improved over the last couple of years. That's why he's in the team.
Bombers looking for a forward stoppage goal. Paris took an eternity. Now that looked like holding the ball to me. Some says no. Just fell on top of it. No effort whatsoever to dispose of it. Ruckman collapsed. Sicily clears the area with a high ball. Underneath, Ginnivan fights for it. Well won by Roberts, though. Out the side to Dersma. The Bombers look to create. Draper from a long way back. Hands to it, but couldn't hang on. Battle caught with a footy. Umpire waves play on. Sardis to Merritt. Squeeze the kick to the teeth of goal. Jones flies knocked away. Underneath, Ward to clear the area for the Hawks. Ginnivan and Dersma set themselves. It clears and runs on out of play.
Hardwick really set himself on that one. Undersized against Jones, but timed his jump really well. Executes the fist as well as anyone. Sent it 25 metres back the other way.
4.5 minutes only left for the Bombers to make an unlikely charge. They're stuck at it. Perkins. The young men in their team have realised they have to take this responsibility. Draper, sharp from Hobbs. Merritt had to find his left, and he might have found the goals as well. Winces, but knows that there's still a little light on for Essendon fans. The flicker of the flame. 18 points in 4 minutes 16. They couldn't, could they?
Brownie, what did your old coach Lee Matthews used to say about minutes?
It was minutes and goals, wasn't it? But I think the game in the last few years has changed that theory, though, hasn't it?
Has it?
Well, what are we up to? 3 goals?
Now it's seconds and goals.
It's seconds and goals. I tell you what, if you get a centre bounce here, it's game on. I've liked Draper's effort. He just competed so hard at either end. Took the mark in the back half moments ago. Gets down the front. Creates a contest there. Good opportunist goals. And they've been able to kick their goals this quarter. Just hang in there with a flicker, as you said, Hutto.
He's no longer just Brownie's old coach anymore. He's
He's with
Fox
us.
Footy's own Lee
That's
Matthews.
right.
He's actually our old coach.
Well, that's true.
I can't keep quoting him anymore. We're working with him.
Merritt's had to stay at full forwards. Draper tapped it, but it was sharked by Newcomb. The Hawks go forward. McGuinness stood his ground in front and he takes the juggling mark.
Often we see
do
it
it again.
after a goal, after an Essendon goal, Hawthorn gets the centre break. Goes down, invariably they hit the scoreboard.
It came out of the middle for the Hawthorn number 3.
Yeah, John Newcomb. A number that my old coach used to wear as well. What a star Newcomb's been.
Finn McGuinness. More than just the tagger that he cut his teeth as. McGuinness from the channel. That's the familiar refrain. And the Hawks find safe harbour again.
That's 15 centre bounces that Hawthorn have won. 10 inside 50s, 4 goals won from that particular score source. And every one of those 4 goals has come when it looks like Essendon have the momentum. So it's been a magnificent effort, digging deep with the ruckman, the 3 mids to know we need to win this clearance, and then the forwards understanding the moment and then taking them. So, as we've said throughout the call, it's a sign of a side that's maturing before our eyes and taking the moments.
I've been impressed with their set shot goal kick, 11 goals, 4, and Chol missed 2 that he should have kicked really from set shot situations. So great sign of maturity, as you said. When you challenge, you need to stand up.
A wonky bounce allowed to pass. A deflating goal from an Essendon perspective, but the emphasis is there for Hawthorn. We've controlled the match since midway through the opening term. Pressing again off the 100 game. And Nash, McGuinness. Who does he think he is? Comes out and takes a lovely mark. Hit the scoreboard last week and has again tonight. Sets it up for someone who wants to run and jump. More little shove was waiting with great expectations, and now they appeal for deliberate again. They won't get that one. And tired legs, a bit of cramp there for Dylan Shield, which will allow 3 minutes to go in the first game of the season.
Redmond straight up the middle. That's what the circumstances demand, but the Hawks have got numbers to it. Day brings it to ground. Meat does the crumbing. Hand passed out in front of the play. The grass stormed forwards. Perkins under pressure. Released it well to Caldwell. He'll give some ground, and Pryor searching for something safe to go with. Dersma is that. Got up a switch. Oh, that's an awful kick.
Lace out.
Effective, though.
Guy, does it go in as an effective kick? I suppose it does. Shield dinks it over the top. His kicking hasn't been all that it should have been tonight. McDonald might make him pay. No, he hit the belly of the ball. It just deteriorates a fraction late. Every piece of energy spent.
I think he's cramping up a little bit, Dylan Shield, but he's got to be better than that with his kicking. He's going to go to half-back now, being pushed out of that midfield. His kicking needs to be better. There's been a couple of kicking errors this quarter.
This game really has materialised into a reverse of round 1 last year when Essendon kicked 17-5 to Hawthorn 11-17. Tonight it's Hawthorn 17-8 to Essendon 12-13. Accuracy playing a big part and ruthless efficiency. Perkins has had a good second half, but he didn't really have the energy or the sight to find a teammate, and instead it's Will Day.
Been a little bit quieter tonight. Hard to keep up with the numbers from last week, especially in the first half. Will Day was unbelievable.
Well, he had Redmond in the first half, and he's going to have to get used to it probably.
Yeah, certainly going to get to. He's competed well though when he's had to go in front of the ball. So it's not just all about numbers.
Will Day, class all over him. Those long legs, he kicks, maybe long tired legs, away to the right.
When you actually look at the stat sheet though, Essendon will rue those 6 goals they gave up to Hawthorn late that first quarter, because when you said early in the quarter, that has been the difference. They just haven't been able to get back within striking distance enough to make Hawthorn nervous.
I love this. This is Charles' biggest celebration of the day. He's that happy with himself.
Well done, me.
And so he should be. The chase down tackle earlier in the game. He's played his part as much as his other forward-line teammates.
The Bombers bring it out of half-back. Caldwell, kick up the line. Merritt had to stay forward once the cramps hit him, knocked away in a two-man coverage.
And they're the things that turn up in video reviews as well, whether it's in a division or whether it's in a team. That's to be rewarded because it sets up the rest of your defence, that front-line pressure.
Hawks by 26 with a minute and change to play. Neat clean tap coming through Perkins. Hopeful hand pass to Martin. Spoke the first option. Durham slipped out. Gives it away to Brian. Hoiks it up inside the 50. See what they might get in the air. Dersma hit from an awkward angle. Frost clears the area. Bombers have numbers at the drop. Roberts dropped the mark though. Still might pan out. Sardis around to Martin. Slips as he went to kick.
It's a Bermuda triangle.
It's oversteering. Brings it out to half back for the Hawks. They can set up.
30 seconds remaining. Time enough. Ginnivan's still got the energy. And look at the run on the inside from Dylan Moore. McGuinness or Moore. Take your pick. Oh, the ball bounces at a wicked angle. And it bounced in Essendon way to McGrath and then to Redmond. Clock down to 10 seconds. Essendon have possession, but Hawthorn will have the last laugh. Weddle goes up, puts the fist into it, earns a free kick, and that will do. They are a serious team at Hawthorn. Sam Mitchell has a win against the oldest rival as a coach for the first time. They set it up in the first quarter, and despite Essendon's best efforts, they simply couldn't close the gap. The Hawks have got the jump on the comp. They have 2 wins before some teams have even played.
Yeah, absolutely. They're impressive. They're great to watch. I love watching Hawthorn play. Since the halfway mark of last year, they've been sensational. They just get momentum. Tonight, though, it was different. Yes, they kicked those 6 goals in a row late in the first quarter to establish that lead, but it was their responses tonight. Every time Essendon looked like they were back in the game, straight away Hawthorn would respond. They showed real maturity tonight. They were able to get clean centre breaks that create opportunities to keep them just far enough in front where Hawthorn, they got stars across the board, but I didn't really necessarily think it was the stars that carried the ship tonight. Sicily was very good, especially early in that last quarter, but there's a very even contribution. We saw the Chol celebration late in that last quarter. Just great all-round team performance.
Let's get down to Jordan Lewis with one of the Hawk stars.
Mate, you're out of petrol tickets. It looked like that last quarter people were running on the spot. Friday night, 80,000 at the G. How good?
No, that was a tough win. So good. The roar at the end, it's amazing. We love playing Friday night footy now, and to win like that, it was tough. They had it on their terms a lot in the second half, and we were able to battle through it and win, which was great.
Was that the pleasing part? You were challenged not only multiple times, but it seemed like they would get 2 goals, you would get 1 back and arrest momentum. Was it important and pleasing to arrest momentum quickly?
Yeah, we spoke about it after watching last night's game. We said that there's going to be momentum shifts in this game, and it's how can we handle it. And a lot of the times when they kicked 2 or 3, everyone came together and said, we don't need to score now, we need to score next. And we were able to do that a lot of the time.
The small forwards had a huge influence. 8 goals between the 3 of you, 3 yourself. It's not only the goals, but certainly the pressure was a standout.
Yeah, especially early. I think they had so many hat kicks out. We were able to set up well defensively, just keep a front half game. And credit to the small forwards. We love just getting the pressure on because we know we can get rewarded.
Rest up. Another big game next week.
Yeah, thanks, Louis.
Oh, what an asset he is, Dylan Moore. 21 disposals and 3 goals. But he epitomises what the half forwards can do these days. Get up the ground, get back, and cap off his work. 93 ranking points, one of the stars out there tonight for the Hawks. There was a bit in it for the Bombers, wasn't it, as the game went on? A lot of their youngsters, it felt like they actually realised they had the responsibility and had to step up, but it was a bridge too far. Let's get down to Ruby.
Marviel, biggest home game in 14 years in the case of attendance. Does it feel different out here? The big Friday night games, that's what you guys are in for. How different does it feel?
Yeah, it's pretty different. I mean,
it's something that a few of us are trying to get used to, obviously playing in front of big crowds and Friday night. But I think the good thing about us young boys, I'm not young, but most of these young guys, they embrace it, and that's that's what we play footy for. So it's pretty exciting.
Well, I think you're ready for it. They call you the Hollywood Hawks for a reason. And some of those celebrations, I want to point out one of your celebrations, a smother over in this pocket here. It was probably your biggest celebration of the night. Talk to me about the passion and where that comes from in little moments like that.
I mean, the good thing about our football club behind the football, we embrace this little thing. So, I mean, I'm quite nonchalant. So for me to do that, I was like, I was pretty happy. And obviously there wasn't, long to go. So to do that, and, I know the boys will appreciate that as well. So
5 multiple goal kickers in your forward line as well. You look as though you celebrate your own goals less than you celebrate others.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's something that we've been working towards, especially over the preseason. And, I'm glad that especially our small forward, they're like a Watto, McDonald as well, who got rewarded today. So I'm happy for these boys, and we can't wait for next week.
You must be pleased with how the defenders held up as well. There was a lot of inside 50s for the Bombers, although you controlled most of the game, but the defenders really stood up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, credit to these guys. Obviously, with TB and JB coming in, we are very grateful to have them. So for them to stand up under that pressure, credit to these boys, and we're so grateful that we have them in our side.
Congratulations. Go enjoy the win.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Oh, well, he's got a big responsibility at the moment until the likes of Lewis and Deere come back into the team. It'll be interesting when they do as to how they adjust the team. But for now, they're finding other sources of goals, aren't they?
Third club for Marby. He kicked 24 goals as a Tiger, 54 as a Sun, and he's up to 40 as a Hawk.
He kicked 44 in 1 year, didn't he, at the Sun? So he's quite capable of being a really strong source of goals.
And he's asked to do a huge task and to present relentlessly. He certainly did that tonight. Took his share of towering marks.
How big next week already for Carlton? The Hawks looking to make it 3 out of 3, and Carlton simply have to respond after last night.
What about the little tease of round 3 there? As the early running, we could have the Hawks and the Giants as the best two in it at that stage as they head down to Tassie to play a game like that. And we know that the climax of Gather Round is the grudge match against Port Adelaide, and how that has been milked for all the theatre from the semi-final to bring home one of the big rounds of the season. So it's a stacked start, and you're right, to have this head start on the comp at 2-0 and to be coming back. It spent so long away from prime time here at the MCG. They're so ideally suited. The brand of footy that they play, the way that they share the joy of it with the outside audience, they're incredibly watchable.
And they're missing James Warple tonight, but really they didn't flinch at that. Ward just came into the team, and the Hawks fans, let's get down to Ruby and hear from one of the other men that the Hawks fans just love seeing in action, and he was back tonight, Rubes.
An absolute fan favourite, the Wizard, back to your very best tonight. I mean, it must have felt good to get on the board early.
Yeah, it was definitely good. Went to work hard this week with Luke Bruce, talking about the game last week. Obviously, it was a bit of a rough start, but all props to Bruce for helping me out throughout the week.
3 goals in the first half. One of those goals, bit of a questionable one, the free given away from Andy McGrath. Did you think it was a rush behind, or did you think you were pretty lucky there?
No, it was definitely a rush behind. I think it was God's paying me back for that high free kick.
Talk me through that almost mark over on the wing. How'd you come down from it? What's your noggin, your ribs? How are you feeling?
A bit of everything, to be honest. I wish I took it, but I paid the price, a bit sore after.
You look like you're just having so much fun as a team out there, and it's not taking you too much to have your hands on the ball to get avenues to goals. It must be so good as a forward to have it coming in and just knowing something's going to be created. Yeah, it's all good when we're all at our best. A lot of hard work into it, and obviously the celebration comes with it, but when we're playing at our best, it's pretty hard to stop, I feel like. Hoping to see a few Wizards hats Thursday night against Carlton next week? Yeah, hope so. So there we go. Go enjoy the win. Thank you, appreciate it.
What a dimension he adds. And speaking of adding dimensions, Jason Dunstall he always makes a pretty tough assessment of the Hawks, but even he must admit that this team can go a long way, and they'll do it with their own style. So Jason and the panel coming up shortly as we're staying with the Hawks as they head down to sing the song for the second time this year. And really they are going to be one of the teams that are being chased this year, it seems.
27 points at quarter time and 26 points at the close. That 6-goal burst. It got to 35 at half time, back to 32 at three-quarter time. And that final winning margin of 26 points. So taking the scalps of Sydney and Essendon to get their campaign underway. So much of their game is working. James Sicily stayed in defence tonight. There was no need to go to the full bag of tricks. Weddle had his little gallivant up forward. Josh Weddle, after being kept pretty quiet, he chimed in with a goal. So they were still able to get him from all the different sources, 10 in total.
And in Conor Nash's 100th game, the Hawks notch up their second win of the season. James Sicily just got a little bit ahead of the pack there.
Trademark long sleeves, all business. They head in to sing the song.
And as they said, just getting used to the bigger stage that is Friday night football. Will Day missed those two big finals last year, but very much part of what we've seen so far this year. And the Hawthorn fans who, let's be honest, were spoiled for fun as they went with those 4 flags starting in 2008. They haven't had to wait long to have so much fun at the footy again.
Sam Mitchell will be at the desk on 360 on Monday night, and a 2-0 start to the season. Every generation of Hawks fan has known success, and this next generation is getting ready for it as well.
Brought to you by the new Ford Ranger plug-in hybrid, a 26-point win to the Hawks. They certainly didn't have it all their own way. We've got plenty to talk about, plenty to get into. Don't despair if you're a Bombers fan, because we are going to dive into a lot of good things that the Bombers did tonight as well. But we start with the Hawks. And Louis, the man that you interviewed on ground post-game, Dylan Moore, probably the difference in the end between the two teams.
Yeah, I think that that small group of forwards we heard Watson talk about. He's gone to school with Luke Bruce, so no doubt Luke Bruce has got a touch on all these types of players. But he just does the simple things well, which allow him to do the brilliant things late in games, and he just keeps turning up. He was really disciplined early in the game, and I think we made mention of it at half time. The ability for the high half forwards to get up, turn their defenders around and realise the space towards goal. But he was important in really pivotal moments within the game. He's got great leadership qualities. He's been in their leadership group for a long time. That was a goal. I mean, that was a difficult goal to turn away from traffic in a really important time.
Yeah, he's the KFC FLG MVP, Brownie, and a worthy one, I would have thought.
Absolutely, yeah, he's sensational tonight. And sums up the impact of all their small forwards. We know Chol kicked goals, but match rank 39th player on the ground the first half. Number 3 in the second half. He was terrific. Kicked goals. Ginnivan kicked goals. Watson hit the scoreboard.
Well, they desperately needed him in the second half because a lot of other players dropped off and it started to look a little bit tight. But one thing they did do throughout the course of the night, Bucks, they were able to kick goals from half-back, weren't they?
Yeah, and they've shown this consistently throughout. I suppose increasingly throughout Sam Mitchell's tenure. And late last year they were so damaging here. They're either elite by foot or they're great runners or they're both. And Eamon and Impey are the two in particular. That Impey gives you that absolute burst run. Eamon gives you the run and the legs. Scrimshaw's a great user. Sisley's a great user. Weddle uses his legs. If you're a Hawthorn forward, you love playing in front of these players that take the game on in great systems.
So good, and they were able to score heavily. Remember they kicked those 6 goals late in the first quarter, Just, didn't they? And a lot of those came from back half, didn't they? They were able to build up their uncontested marks and then get Essendon out the back. So that was the lead established for the night.
And it has been a category that that the recent premiers, last 2 or 3 premiers, have actually been really good at scoring from back half, being able to move the ball from end to end and being able to finish. And that kicking goal early in the last was sensational.
They needed it because the Bombers had the game on their terms in the second half, and Hawthorn kicked those steadying goals almost against the run of play. But we wanted to talk about that set play kickoff, Buck, because we're going to go there in a minute, but we're going to head straight down to the rooms. I think Josh Battle has put the headphones on. Josh, congratulations on another great win to the Hawks. It looked pretty taxing in the end. A lot of tired boys by the end of the game.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Jace. It was a tough game out there tonight, and by the end of it, I think a few boys were cramping, so yeah, it's definitely tough.
Now, mate, interesting your role. You've been at times stationed on small forwards. We saw you with young Isaac Kako at different stages tonight as well. How are you enjoying that role?
Yeah, I mean, it's different. Obviously, we're pretty big down there, so at times, going to have to play on small, but no, really enjoying it. I mean, the dynamic down there, it seems to be working, and learning off these guys and playing alongside, obviously, some great players. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, Josh, the game throws up different things. You actually had a friendly fire head clash with Scrimshaw, with Jack Scrimshaw, and then one of the biggest Falcons I reckon I've copped. How's your head feeling?
The one with Scrim was all right. I think the Falcon hurt more, and I know I'm going to pay for that from the lads, I think.
You felt as if all night when Essendon, you established that lead late in the first quarter, Josh, but then Essendon kept coming at you all night, but you were just able to respond each time. Showed great maturity from the group.
Yeah, I think that's what it is too. I mean, the boys, they're really mature down there. I mean, we're young, but they got great heads on their shoulders. So, we got some great leaders down there who can really take the game by the scruff of the neck at clutch times.
Josh, we've seen some set plays, no more so than assists to Xiaomi Mi. You couldn't get involved in that one?
Nah, I couldn't go, Geordie. I was cooked, but assists. He just kicks it a few times tonight out on the platter. So yeah, it was really good.
When you say it's a tough game, explain to us up here. Why was it tough? Physical? What are you seeing? Is it different to previous years?
Yeah, I think they just come out, obviously they had a week off last week, so we knew they were going to come out really strong, and it was hot early, it was a scrap, and it was a lot more physical than we thought it would be, but it was really tough, so they played a really good, strong brand of footy.
Josh, coming from a different club, and Tom Barras is in the same boat, how much education and adjustment has there been for you to learn the way the Hawks want to play down back?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Every team's different, and every team's obviously got their own system. So, trying to learn, as much as I can. Obviously, some of the terminologies, some of the stuff's the same, just the terminology's a bit different. So, learning off these guys who you've looked at from afar, Sis, Frosty, Cull, all these guys. I mean, it's really good.
So when you walk in at three-quarter time and Essendon have decided to press and try and take away your uncontested marks in your back half, what sort of adjustments come from the coaches? Is it something you've practiced through pre-season? Is it an awareness? Do you already pretty much know what's going to come in your division and in the team before you walk in?
Yeah, I mean, I think they got a run on. Sam addressed this. We kind of just stopped working, and when they're coming forward and they're a good defence, you know you got to work. So that's something I think we'll review and work on next week.
As Jay said, there was a lot of build-up about Isaac Kako. I know he's an opposition player, but what was he like to play on the first gamer?
Yeah, I mean, he's sharp, he's quick. I think, hopefully he has a great career, and it's good. It's really enjoyed playing on him.
Josh, you've started 2-0. Congratulations tonight. It was another great win. Massive clash coming up against the Blues next week. Wish you all the best, mate, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Good on you.
Been interesting. He's been a great pickup for the Hawks, and the different personnel they have down back now gives them a very different look, and I think there's a great confidence now, and we saw them have to defend a lot tonight. I mean,
7 inside 50s.
Yeah, that's a lot, isn't it?
Sorry, 60, sorry.
His ability to play on the small forwards, like last week he played on Papley, did a really good job as well, so it allows guys like Eamon and Impey just to run off and just get a bit more attacking down the field and not have to worry about an opponent back.
Now, Bucks, you mentioned it before. There was a spectacular set play tonight. The kick out from Sicily that opened up one side. They let Xiaomi Mi sprint, and very few can go with him. You can see him where he is now. This was exceptional to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, and this is with the knowledge that Essendon have got sticky and they've got man on man. and they were able to create that space. And Nick Martin filled that space for the rest of the game. He didn't allow that to be taken, but it's identical to the set play that really broke the game open against Sydney last week. And when you've got a user like Sicily, you've got someone with the legs like Impey and the discipline of the other 16 teammates to create that space, it's beautiful to watch.
Do you think we don't see it enough? The set plays, like I know that's difficult to get, but basketball have it all the time, how they run plays from sidelines. Do we not see it enough?
Before we had zone defence, the man-on-man was prevalent. And I think Wolsey, way back when, like in late 70s, early 80s,
two huddles.
You know what the problem is now, though? Once you get away with something like that, everyone's onto it. You've got to keep reinventing yourself and coming up with different set plays.
We'll just go the other side.
Well, you can.
And you think that'll turn?
Eamon would be running the other side with his left foot, but you can't. I think this is something that if Hawthorn go where they're intending to go and get to finals, they might put it in the back pocket for 8 weeks and pull it out in a qualifying final or something like that.
Oh, it's exciting to watch. Well, I tell you what else was exciting. We watched them last week and they battled up forward. The forwards struggled to get into the game, in particular the small forwards. Nick Watson burst into the contest tonight, and he had a big presence. And importantly, and I think you made the call while you were calling the game, Bucks, his ability to finish when he got the chances.
He did, and he kicked really straight early, didn't he? And that makes a tremendous difference to the energy that you bring to the game and that you give to your teammates. So the smother we saw initially, it was evident that Hawthorn were trying to take away Essendon's uncontested marks, and their wingers and high backs were prepared to sit back and trust the forwards' pressure. Nick Watson smother, Charles chases, but then when he got his chances, he was after the player with the ball and he created opportunities for himself and was able to finish 3 goals in the match.
It's good return, 9 goals from their small forwards tonight, Jase.
Well, I bet you got none from them.
Yeah, that's the strength of the game, isn't it? Obviously, Joel did a really good job. Pretty much as the solo forward there. McGuinness certainly supported him well, but it's important these ground level players hit the scoreboard.
I think he would have learned something from last week. We spoke about a pre-game, just his running patterns. That's late in the game, so that tells me that he's bought into it. His task to go into the game was probably more, after speaking to Luke Bruce, was more on that side. And it's funny when you concentrate on that stuff, how everything else sort of comes off the back of that.
I have to ask the question though, from a strategy point of view and a matchup point of view. Last week they had a lead in with Sam Wicks. It was a hard matchup on Watson, took him out of the game. You talk about that early momentum with a set shot, a goal, and getting your energy levels up. Why wouldn't have Essendon gone for that hard matchup tonight? Because he is a fire starter for them, Hawthorn.
I think, some teams just rely on team defence and they're happy to roll over. Hawthorn's a little bit like that as well. But I think once again, it was evident early that he was a different type of beast today. Yet we didn't necessarily see someone really clamp down on him.
It would have been a lot harder to do when you've got Mackay, Reid, and Ridley in that back six. They had to go to someone. They were already playing undersized.
And not everyone has the personnel to do everything that you actually want to do. As a coach, you can only use what's at your disposal. I loved the battle between Mason Redman and Will Day in the middle of the ground. That was enthralling because we saw how good Will Day was last week. He had his impact curve.
Yeah, and that was Redman was cast in a different role, but after last week, 19 touches and 3 goals in the first half, and then tagged after that, there was always going to be a little bit more attention. And Redman was seen as a player. Okay, we'll pluck him out of the half-back. We know that we've got Dylan Shield down there to give us a bit of run, so we'll try and nullify Will Day's impact in some shape or form. Still played his role really well, Will Day, and was troublesome at various times. And he's a competitor. He's never going to stop working. He's never going to stop contributing. So he wasn't quite as brilliant as he was last week, but still quite effective.
They're Redmond in the first half, Durham in the second half. So they shared that role and did a good job.
A full room.
There's a lot of people in there.
There are. They come out of the woodwork when you're winning, Louis. You know that.
You said that last week. The room was fuller than you've ever seen.
Yeah. So clearly times have changed. From what I understand, every player that plays gets 4 tickets for their immediate family. So
for the rooms
we're obviously seeing
some have got bigger immediate families. Yeah. Let's check out the UE full-time highlights. One thing we do enjoy when we watch the Hawks kick goals is there's always decent celebrations to go with them.
Can you decide for them all, Jase?
No, I have no idea about it.
Just speaking of some of the lesser lights, I think Mavia Chol, his first 2 weeks have been brilliant. He's played a really important role he's the lone tall forward up there that's been able to compete, and he's been first class. And the other one is McGuinness.
Yeah.
He came into the side as a tagger, but his run and carry and willingness to work and pressure, it was rewarded at the end with a centre bounce goal. But Brozio didn't have much of the ball early, and I'm sure Essendon fans would have loved to have seen him quiet, but he did finish with that goal in the second quarter, and their forwards were just busy all night.
I had no idea what that means.
Work out what they are.
Time out. He's Hardwick's a good player, isn't he? He's so versatile. Often they throw him behind the ball when they just need some steadying, just take some sting out of the game or stop the opposition from scoring. Did a really good job with that tonight. Then obviously that was a fantastic set shot. That man Child I thought was fantastic. He competed hard.
A little bit of body English just to sneak it inside.
His celebration was after his mother with a minute to go in the game.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, so.
I like the Hardwick one. He had a baby at the start of last week, so leading into the Sydney game. I think you're right on Hardwick. You speak about versatility. You made mentions throughout the call about the impact of Mackay. There was a dead set plan to drag him back. So he was trying to be the deepest one, and Hardwick quite often was the deepest. Then being able to lead up as that last forward, I thought he played a really disciplined role.
A little bit of news to come out of this match tonight. Some injuries, some potential suspensions as we catch up down in the rooms with John Ralph.
Well, Jordan Ridley has suffered his third concussion in 4 seasons. That incident with Jack Scrimshaw will show that incident. Now, of course, he played on in the second quarter, and then at half-time he told the doctors he wasn't feeling great, so he failed the concussion protocol. So a couple of incidents in the last 3 years, Junior Rioli and also an accidental elbow from Eric Hipwood, mean that the club will be very cautious with him as Adelaide and Port Adelaide before the bye. So he'll miss one of those in the concussion protocol, potentially 2. Jack Scrimshaw will not necessarily be suspended just because, of course, his opponent was concussed. That's not the way the rules work. Michael Christian, the MRO boss, needs to assess it as a reportable incident, but unfortunately for him, there's no middle ground. It's either a fine, a low level, or severe impact because of the concussion there. So he'll be a very nervous boy in the next 24 hours. He'll find that out tomorrow night. Now, he's going to miss anyway against Carlton next Thursday night, given his own collision with Josh Battle there, the hard-headed Josh Battle, Falcon, and, of course, the friendly fire incident as well. He's in those concussion protocols. So Hawthorn tells me that Changuth Jiak did get through his second VFL game, coming back for some hip soreness today in that VFL contest. So you don't have to reconfigure that back line, but certainly he's an option to come in if it is that Scrimshaw is missing for next week and beyond. Kyle Langford had hamstring surgery in 2022 and 2021. He missed the final. I think it's the same hamstring, the right hamstring, and so this incident here where he picked up the ball from Isaac Kako and then obviously grabbed at his hamstring would be a significant concern for the Essendon Football Club. Let's not get ahead of those scans, but again, only 9 games in 2022 and then has played outstanding football, has not missed a game in the last 2 years. I think this would be some people at the Essendon Football Club, their medical team, who'd be very, very nervous tonight about Kyle Langford's hamstring.
Thank you, Ralphie. Much appreciated. That is bad news for Kyle Langford. Those damn midfielders shouldn't be hitting the ball that low, Brownie. You want them out in front. Is it that hard?
Well, he used to take a lot of sliding chest marks. Your man couldn't get near it, but you're right, it's a big blow.
He could have slid as much as he wanted there.
He wanted to keep away from the intercepting defenders.
It was actually good. Like in that second half, they started to get dragged their way back into the game. Like Caddy started to take some contested marks, and I thought Langford competed well.
Just before we get on to the Bombers, the MRO incident, what are your thoughts?
It was right in front. The force was there.
Can you argue that the swinging arm was trying to smother the ball?
I tried in the call. I think it's hard to argue that that's a smothering motion in the end, and with the concussion and the way that the laws are written at the moment, you're going to have to try and say that you were swiping at the footy.
Yep.
Not sure.
All right, we'll wait and see what happens there. We need to take a break. We are going to come back and talk about the Bombers. In the meantime, I reckon about noon tomorrow, you better have your supplies, your food, your drinks all set to go. It's going to be a long day on the couch. This is massive. The only place to watch the footy. It's going to be enormous. Super Saturday here on Fox Footy.
All right, there we go, folks. We might come back and just hear what the boys have got to say about the Bombers, but what a fantastic match. It was a great game. Essendon won the second half of footy. Of course, Hawthorn won the first, but Hawthorn had that lead. Absolutely cracking game. 4 goals, 2 in the last quarter to the Hawks, 5 goals to the Bombers. The Bombers kept coming, but the Hawks, when they got to around about that 3-4 goal margin, the Hawks just pegged back that goal. Made it a little bit tough for Essendon, but what a great game. Hawthorn looked pretty good. You know what? I think the coach should be reasonably happy. I think he's got a few things to work on. And I think the Bombers also will be pretty good. I think their fight and tenacity, their pressure was really good throughout the game. So good things again for the two teams coming into the season. Don't forget, tomorrow we've got plenty of football action coming your way. Of course, Super Saturday it's going to be. We have the first game kicking off at 1:20 p.m. Melbourne time. That's Geelong Cats taking on the Fremantle Dockers down there at GMHBA Stadium. That's at 1:20. Following that, another big match. Sydney Swans taking on the Brisbane Lions at the SCG. What are your thoughts there? I think Brisbane might win that one. Geelong, Freo, who knows? Freo might even take a win over the Cats down at the Cattery. Of course, the next two games is Western Bulldogs taking on North Melbourne, 7:35 p.m, Marvel Stadium. And, of course, the final game Saturday night, tomorrow night, will be a big game. Collingwood taking on Port Adelaide at the MCG, the 7:35 p.m. Melbourne time tomorrow night. Collingwood had a disaster of an opening round against GWS Giants where they got beaten by 52 points. Port Adelaide's first game of the season coming up tomorrow. It should be a good game. The Magpies will certainly be looking to bounce back strongly against Port Adelaide in that match. They don't want to go zipping too at the first two games of the season for them, whereas they'll certainly be chasing their tails. A big way will be the Magpies. But it should be a good day of football coming up tomorrow. And, of course, Sunday, got another 3 matches on Sunday. Adelaide Crows versus St Kilda, 12:35 p.m. Adelaide Oval. And then from the MCG at 3:20 p.m. Sunday, we've got Melbourne taking on the Giants. And the final game of round 1, 6 p.m. Melbourne time, we've got the West Coast Eagles taking on the Gold Coast Sun over there in Optus Stadium in Perth. So we've still got plenty of fantastic matches coming your way. I think I'll probably cover maybe 3 of those games, folks. Geelong, Fremantle at 1:20. Sydney, Brisbane at 4:15. And, of course, Collingwood, Port Adelaide, 7:35 tomorrow. All right, don't forget, we actually had a poll in there. We had everyone picked right. 62% went for Hawthorn. 37% went for the Bombers, so we got that one right again tonight. All right, we'll take us back down to the boys, and they're going to give us a bit of analysis on the Bombers before we close out the live for tonight.
Final margin, plenty of celebrations. They had it on their terms in the first half, the Hawks, but not so in the second. Lots of positive signs from the Bombers, but just unable to stop the Hawks kicking those critical goals when they needed to, just to keep the Bombers at bay. It was an impressive performance from the Bombers, given what... Well, I didn't have high expectations. I wasn't sure what to get from them this year, but I thought their second half was full of merit, and they probably had the game on their terms for much of that period.
Yeah, it was through stoppages that they were able to, in some way controlled field position, but they just weren't able to score well enough from it. Hawthorn's defence held up, and then they moved it end to end. But as the game wore on, they were able to... They
worked hard, didn't they? They ran, they put pressure on.
Absolutely, to move the ball with a little bit more fluency. They came out of half-time, they were prepared just to possess it a little bit more, force Hawthorn to defend a little bit more often. But Hawthorn had plenty in the tank. They were able to work their way back into the game and through that last quarter, just keep Essendon at arm's length.
They were probably a little unlucky in the third quarter not to have eroded a lot of that margin away, because they kicked a couple of goals early in the third quarter to get themselves going, and it looked like they were controlling it. But as we mentioned before, the Hawks just kicked a couple of goals against the run of play.
17-4, the inside 50 count that quarter, Jason. As you said, they dominated territory. Young Caddy stood up, took a couple of contested marks, and he was able to keep the ball moving. And they looked a lot more dangerous at ground level, and the Hawks defenders were really starting to tire. They looked under an enormous amount of pressure, and they were able to kick a goal late in that quarter just to keep that 4-5 goal margin and just keep them at bay. But I was impressed with their ability to just keep on fighting.
Oh, I think that's the pleasing part. At half-time, Brad Scott clearly wanted them to play quicker, and you can see even when they were coming off, they were knackered, so they knew once they went back on, they had to play this high-octane Because for me, it's probably about missed opportunities. I mean, 1 goal 8 from forward 50, 0-7 in the second half. They had opportunities. Then I think it was a little bit of fatigue. We pointed to Dylan Shield. He was cramping for the majority of the second half. But they fought it out. I agree with you. They didn't lower their car. I thought they were brilliant in terms of the effort and fight that they showed.
Plenty of intercepts from the Hawks in the first half, but I thought they made a conscious effort to get the ball at ground level, keep it away from the intercepting markers, and then they looked really dangerous once the ball did hit the ground in the second half.
Isaac Kako was excellent in that regard, wasn't he? I think Perkins, who was really quiet in the first half, playing on Sicily, he got a little busier. And Gresham's addition and injection into the game after halftime had a tremendous impact. And as we said, we thought he was probably smarting a little bit from that call, but he's answered and responded really well for the coach and for himself.
Only the 10 intercept marks for Hawthorn tonight, so 22 last week. So that's a really big tick for the way that they sort of methodically moved the way through the defence and disallowed them to mark the ball.
So when you look at the way the Bombers dominated stoppages tonight, that's a huge plus for them. So I guess the trick now for Brad Scott is how do we get more benefit out of that dominance? Is it a concern for Sam Mitchell that you can get dominated like that in the middle of the ground?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think what you're dealing with though is an extra around the stoppage. So we spoke about it at halftime. What do you prioritise? I think Mitchell always prioritises spare behind the ball because they are a little bit taller. They want those runners in Amon and the like and Weddle off the back. So you let a bit go at the stoppages to then get a little bit more in transition. That paid off from the first half, but it was a smashing in the end.
It was. So, unfortunately, Bucks, numbers don't tell the whole story. And clearance numbers aren't as important as they used to be. It's what you do with those clearances now, isn't it?
No, it's field position. And if you take the extra number, you've got a +1 defender, well, then that might actually speed and fuel your rebound off the back, which is what we saw in that first half. But look, Essendon kept coming. Like they were, even though that they were winning clearances and they gave themselves opportunities. Yeah, and Hawthorn were coming back and scoring against us. They were working with the scoreboard against them for the majority of the match, from about the 20-minute mark of the first quarter. And I think that's meritorious in itself. I mean, it's no comfort to the Essendon fans that don't get the points when they walk away. But I thought the majority of their list had a real crack. The pressure was on from the get-go. It's just that the Hawks were so slick early in the match when they put that gap in the game.
If I'm an Essendon supporter, I'm not disheartened in the least walking away from that game. I'm going, gee, I saw some things I really like. We talk about our Jim Beam teammate moment tonight. It came very early in the game, Brownie. A man that we're going to talk a lot about, I think, young Isaac Kako. And didn't he get mobbed after his first kick resulted in the goal?
Yeah, I think the Hawthorn supporters weren't cheering for him, but there's plenty of other people there cheering, including a few of the commentators. That was magnificent to see. Great expectations coming into this match. He's so exciting to be here at the ground to watch him live. Not just the goal kicking, which that was exciting, but his ground level pressure and his contribution, his energy is just fantastic. So a bright future for that young man. He'll get the turnstiles clicking, along with his wingman, Nate Caddy, who shows some really good signs.
Yeah, they're going to be fun to watch for Bombers supporters. All right, we've spoken about how well they played tonight. I wonder what response we're going to get from Brad Scott at the presser. I think it'll be positive. Let's have a listen.
Israel, what was your overall assessment after that performance?
Beaten by a more efficient, probably at this stage, classier side in terms of polish. But on the flip side, and I think what you want to build what we want to build our team around, which is effort and effort in the contest, but also effort when things aren't going your way, to be able to adjust, both from a coaching perspective and a playing perspective, to get back in the game. And I like the fact that we never conceded, but clearly, there's a gap between the two sides at the moment, and effort, contest, ability to defend with effort was really good, but ability to defend against their class was certainly wanting in the first half.
So if you have to distill it down to one theme, do you think it's more glass half full or glass half empty?
I wouldn't even distill it into either. I mean, it's just a matter of we've got to get better in certain parts of our game, but the things that are going to give you a chance in this competition are it's a contested game. You've got to be able to win contests, and we were able to win a lot of contests, but we lost some crucial contests, particularly in our back half. To concede sort of, I think, combined 6 goals from centre bounce and kick-ins with things that we knew. I mean, we were very well, I was going to say we were very well prepared and we trained for, but then we still didn't execute. So maybe that's a contradiction. Maybe we weren't well enough prepared, but we knew what we were going to get. And, to concede 6 goals from things that we'd planned for and trained for was disappointing, and, that was a big part to the margin, I thought.
Hard's measured, but how much do you think that first quarter comes down to not playing last week versus training today?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I thought both. Yeah, well, I thought it's a hot game. I mean, literally and metaphorically. I mean, it was both teams looked out on their feet, but I was rapt that our guys kept coming. You could say that maybe they had a bit of fatigue from last week and we didn't. So no, we certainly won't be using that as an excuse.
You mentioned efficiency before. I think at one stage during the third quarter, Hawthorn kicking in at 83%.
Yeah.
You were at 60. How noticeable was that to you, and what do you put that down to?
They're very good kicks. They sliced us up through the middle at different stages, and we sat back off them a little bit too much, particularly in the first quarter. But again, pleased that we're able to adjust that and get the game somewhat back on our terms. And I thought in the second half we controlled big parts of it. The screen that I looked at was flashing green on most metrics, but the one that I don't look at so much was the scoreboard, which wasn't flashing green.
So that gap between the skill level of the two teams, particularly under pressure, obviously you want to aspire to what they're doing. How far off is that? It's not necessarily easy to train that. How quickly can you hope to reach a level like that?
Yeah, I've got a lot of belief in our group. I mean, I think I don't distill it as simply as that. I think that you play against really good teams, they're going to kick the ball really well. I mean, the really good teams do. So I more look at we've got to defend that better than we did tonight. And offensively, if you get it inside 58 times, you're going to get a good enough look. But we had that a fair bit last year too. So we got it in a lot, but potentially, need to score better than we are at the moment, and that'll be tested with Langford missing a few weeks, I should suggest at least.
It looked quite a bit like you were forced wide, into the pockets. Was that more about their defensive structure or your sort of poor decisions or delivery inside?
Yeah, a little bit of that. You can have there's definitely some things that we were trying to do and that were on for us in the forward 50, but sometimes coaching is very easy. You look, why didn't we do that? The opposition's out there, and the pressure they put on the ball carrier was very good. So certainly hurried our decision making, but the options were there. We just couldn't find them.
Do you like the two rucks?
I think we've got two very capable ruckmen. I think the attitude that we'll continue to take this year is the attitude we've taken the last 2 years, which is horses for courses. I mean, we don't. Peter Wright's injured at the moment, so hopefully we get him back soon, and we have other options. But I thought our rucks gave us first use most of the night. I thought again our stoppage contest work wasn't the issue for us.
What do you drag was unused as a target at times tonight up forward? You said before it's very difficult to mark against him in context. He brings the ball to the ground. Was he ignored a bit?
More of him there, sorry?
Was he ignored a little bit going forward?
Oh, no, we kicked it to him a bit, but clearly, we're not doing our job if we're not doing our best to make sure Barras and Sicily aren't marking it. And I thought we did that. Perkins, Draper did a really good job there. Sam Durham, Mason Redmond, really good job with Will Day. A lot of things that we planned to do, we executed pretty well. But that's what good teams do. They can they can have some things taken away from them, and they're able to step up in other areas. And I think it's pretty obvious now they're a good team.
Just on that forward setup, you said Langford, 3 works, you reckon?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you, Rowan. I've got no idea, but it's going to be more than 1.
Well, yeah, okay. So what I'm getting at is right, like 6 weeks, Langers 3 weeks or something. You've got Draper, a nominal ruckman as a key forward. Like, do you have that many options for key targets up forward?
We've got some players that we I think are playing pretty well at VFL level, but the options open to us are either personnel based or they're structure based.
So you might have to change your game a little bit.
Maybe, yeah. But that's what you have to do in this competition. We'll just adjust.
The McGrath deliberate, did you think that was the correct call?
Oh, who cares what I think? Cal?
We do.
Well, there's some stuff I could say, I reckon, but ask the umpires. They'll tell you. I would have thought. All we're told, and this is, I think I'm in a pretty good position to explain this, is if you're under any semblance of pressure and you're inside 9, you can rush to behind. That's what we're told. So that's what we do.
So that hasn't been changed, because it seems like quite a radical change of interpretation. If he's like a metre away from an opponent.
Unless they just say it was a mistake, which it could have been. Umpires make mistakes.
What are the chances of that, do you think?
Oh, I think they're pretty good these days. If you make a howler, you just say, we made a howler and move on. But I'm not saying it is. They have to explain it, not me. I'm just giving you the information that we're given.
Right, you must have been delighted with the goal of Isaac Kaka in his first game. It was really a promising performance for him, and also the performance of Cordwell throughout the middle of the ground kept him in the game. Yeah, he did. I thought that's a good analysis. I thought Caldwell was outstanding. I wish I had 2 of him. I think he's really elevated his game. He's playing on some good Hawthorn mids and various stages, and it was great to see Isaac out there. He's he did some really good things. But I like the way he pressured. He gives us energy that we haven't had in the forward half in the last couple of years, and that's only the beginning for Isaac. I think we're going to see him only get better from here.
This might be minutiae, but a lot of players falling over.
Yeah.
What was the message pre-game, during the game around that?
We watched the footy last night, and certainly at the City end members' side forward pocket, everyone's slipping over from both teams. But ultimately, we're aware of it, and we spoke to the players about, hold your feet in the contest. But but the reality is, the ground's the same for both teams. So we'd like the ground to be in better shape, but it's the same for both teams. So I don't think there's an excuse for any of the 4 teams that played Thursday, Friday night.
What is it about Hawthorn that makes it, that's the hardest to plan against that you've found this week?
I just think they're pretty well balanced at the moment, and they've very attacking off half back. They defend well. They make you pay for your mistakes. They do what I think most good teams do, and that's they defend well and counter really well. I think their contest work's very good. I thought Walpole was a big loss for them tonight, and we were able to somewhat capitalise on that with the contest and stoppage stuff, but it wasn't enough.
Is there a greater premium now on pace, do you think, weak speed in the game?
I'm not sure. I think it's always been important. I think you always want leg speed guys who can cover the ground, but I think we play the most physically demanding game in the world. 125 minutes. You require brute strength, top end speed, repeat speed, and great endurance. There are not too many games in the world that are full contact that require all those things. So, we as a code, we want to attract the first choice talent and best athletes, and these days they need to be.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Thank you.
A pretty relaxed and circumspect Brad Scott after this one. He knows they're on the right track and potentially some good things not too far ahead for Bomber supporters. We need a break. Jared and Ralph with some news on the other side. A massive weekend of footy ahead. And of course, the new footy week begins Monday night with AFL 360.
There's still no timeline, and that's with Jamara's best interests at heart. The support aspect's number one. The football aspect is still, we're not really even discussing a timeline.
This idea that what happens at amateur level where the quarter breaks, there's a heap of people on the ground. I understand that there's the potential for sort of ugly scenes there. There's zero potential for that at the elite level. And if it did, then, your position in the game would be under threat.
In the last 15 minutes, it was a clear athletic advantage. You could feel it as a player. It was pretty evident from watching, from what I hear.
Sometimes in your darkest times is your biggest growth, and we've been through some pretty dark times as a footy club in recent times.
Whoever offered him didn't offer him enough, did they? I got on the 15 years. He blokes are fair
You're watching Friday Night Footy
over Essendon at the MCG tonight. Let's drop into Sam Mitchell's press conference.
You look pretty happy. You should be.
The story we've sort of thought about is that we've got a fair bit of work to do, but our best is pretty good. And I think, we probably saw a bit of both of those things tonight. We lost a lot of statistics that says we shouldn't win that game. We got a touch up, a clearance, lost the inside 50 count by 10. We not only lost contested possession by 20, we also lost the tackles by close to that as well. So there's a lot of area that needs attention for us, but we're able to kick 111 points and win the game. So that part makes me happy, but some of the underlying stuff, we've got some work to do.
So the headline out of that then, given those numbers, is like it's a huge tip for your efficiency, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that we had some sort of key moments that some key players, key moments, thought they handled some of those things pretty well. Holistically, I think Essendon, I haven't heard any of Scotty's press comments, but I imagine there's some parts of the game they would have been pretty happy with. But we just were able to, we had enough of a lead to be able to sort of hold them off, but we had some key moments that were important in seasons like this. You're going to have to win some games where you lose some stats, but it's not sustainable to keep winning in that style.
It's a small sample size. Do you feel like your behaviour in the last couple of weeks is an evolution of how you were in the second half of last year? If you've gone in these out against some opposition that have come back in different stages?
Yeah, I think as we mature as a team, we have to handle momentum, and that was a big issue for us over the journey. And not to say we got it all right today, but we are slightly better at handling momentum. When they got a bit of a run on, we were able to execute a couple of things that gave us, a bit of time and a bit of consistency in the way we played. Still got a fair bit of work to do. I think, we saw some evidence last year that when we stick to something, we work hard on it, we make improvements, and we know that, we've got to make more if we want to compete against the best when it really matters. And today, we were able to do some good stuff in some key moments, but holistically, if you look at that game, that's not going to get it done.
Just want to ask you a couple about the speed of this side. I asked Brad Scott this. Do you think leg speed in the game has become even more important in the last year or two?
I think there's a time and a place to use your speed, and there's a time it's not as necessary. I think being able to cover for speed is important, and you need some players who have got it. We thought we had a little bit of trouble with some of their quicker types as well today. I think probably Caldwell is more of an accumulator, but I thought his inside contest work was absolutely first class tonight, and really. He's probably the best player on the ground, I thought. And then Zach Merritt's speed to get from the inside to the out just really taught us a bit of a lesson today. So we've got some speed on the outside that helps us, and we got a couple of goals out of it. I thought, there was a couple of plays from individual players where they use the leg speed, but it's a big part of the game and didn't suit me back in the day, so I'm pretty glad that it's more important now than it was.
Is this the quickest side you've been involved with, or is that quite a lot?
I think every team has got enormous amounts of speed somewhere, and part of the coach's job is trying to find ways to use it. And I think our players have got a license to play with the strengths they have, and those guys who are quick show us.
There's a speed also the way when your skills are really good. Last one talking the speeds and the express you've got that double that travelling faster.
Yeah, I think there's different types of speed. There's running speed, but there's also brain speed. So, we've got some players that are pretty good in one or both of those areas.
With James Wood out, are you happy with the games and Kevin also Josh Ford?
I'll have to have a look. I think Mitchell got a bit of a touch up, to be honest. We lost clearance to count by 20 odd, and thought they were a bit cleaner. Their ball handling I thought was a bit better than ours across the day. So there's a bit of work to do across the midfield. Obviously, those two young guys, I was really pleased that they were able to play full games, get great minutes in, and look comfortable at the level. I thought they both had those moments where you're like, he's going to be a very good AFL player. And that's what you're after with those guys who have sort of played less than 50 games. There's more and more of those moments where you say, it's pretty good.
I'll join you because it's 25 stages, 20 kids. Is that a particular focus for you?
No, it wasn't. I guess it was quite a sweaty, dewy type of game. So I think taking a bit more territory, we could have done it better. I thought we overused the ball and let them put more and more pressure on us at times. So he probably just followed the instruction a bit better than some of the others. We probably would have liked to take a bit more territory in the game, knowing that their pressure is very, very good and was quite consistent through the game. So when we were able to get the pressure off ourselves, we looked a bit better. But being able to withstand it in these early rounds is really important, and as well as being able to inflict it on the opposition. And they won the tackle count and the contested possession, so you have to say they won that part of the game.
So just on that,
I missed the very start of it. Oh, physical side? Yeah, I mean, I think we're fortunate in an AFL environment. There's a lot of good people that work in that area, and it's definitely not my area of expertise. So our, fitness and medical teams, they work pretty hard. There's GPS on every player for every session that they do. So they have an understanding of what the players are capable of and how much training loads we need to do, how much physicality we need during the week. We obviously have a game on Thursday again, so there'll probably be pretty limited training this week. It was quite a physical game tonight, I thought. So, I'll let the bakers bake. Those guys are very, very good at what they do, and if the coaches want to train more and they want to train less, we train less. He's got concussion, so sort of there's 12 days, so he'll certainly miss the next game, and he had some other sort of stuff going on, but nothing's been confirmed at this stage, so he'll get checked out over the next couple of days, and it's pretty hard for his family and stuff to see injuries like that. Are just unfortunate in the game that we play. So fortunate that he was, still talking and chatting away in the rooms, and said to me at half-time, make sure you get the win. So he's still sort of with us, and pleasing because it looked quite nasty. I don't know. I couldn't answer that. I'm not sure.
I know no game is more important than another. Given the start last year, which ultimately cost you a lot of finish, have you put any greater premium on starting well this season? Have you addressed it with the group?
Not really. I think, if I'm really honest, I find the pre-season quite difficult to predict. I think a bit like everyone else, you hope what you've done is going to set you up for success, but you don't really know until you get evidence by playing against opposition. And when we played our practice games, there was some levels of concern, but some things that we liked. And obviously over the last couple of weeks, you say, okay, we got some things right this year that perhaps we had altered from last year. So I think the team that put the pre-season, that play in the pre-season, there's a lot of people that go into that, and we did some learning from last year, and we've made adjustments, and it seems like it's in a bit of a better place, but it is round one.
Sam, from the coaching perspective, you must have been really happy the way you went forward last week. It was Sicily, then you just won forward this week. Josh Weddle, what was the thinking behind that, and also the praise for kind of match another polished performance by yourself?
Yeah, I think Josh Weddle is I thought we lacked a bit of energy in the game. We just looked a bit flat, and there was a lack of sort of vibrancy about us. And you're playing in front of 80,000 at the MCG on Friday night. It didn't make sense. So I was saying, how can we get some energy into this game? And Josh Weddle is one of those infectious characters that he runs, and he just makes everyone else around him run. So really, we moved him forward to try and create a bit of a spark for us. And sure enough, he popped up and kicked a really important goal for us. And I think he's very important in that controlling energy narrative that you need when you're playing. Long game goes for a long time, so you need those players. And Connor Nash, I was rapt that he was able to have such a significant influence on the game. He shut down a couple of their players for small periods of the game. He was able to have a good influence himself as an individual, but he also brought a level of physicality that we've come to expect when perhaps some others struggled with that part of the game tonight. So 100 games for an Irishman, I know that he's very proud of that, and I think we're all pretty proud to have seen him play in it.
What was made throughout the week of the Smalls not being able to impact the contest last week? They band together to kick 9 goals tonight. That must be pretty pleasant.
Yeah, I don't think I was too concerned. They're all very, very good footballers. They all work enormously hard on their craft. They've sometimes as a small forward, very difficult to be a consistent small forward. there's a handful of those per generation, and unfortunately, if you have resilience and optimism in that role, then usually the chances will come to you. And I think all of our guys bounce back pretty well. And to be able to play consistently as a small forward is everyone's great goal, but it's a very, very difficult task to do. And I was pleased that they were able to, stick with it and work hard. And it's not to say that next week it'll be any easier. They'll have a tough challenge again. But I don't think I had any concerns that they were out of form just from one bad game as a small forward.
Speaking of those sort of outside noises, probably more pressure added on to the Hawks if they keep winning. Does that kind of, I guess, affect you guys at all? Would you just let that be outside the floor?
I mean, talking about expectations is a really difficult thing. This competition is so close. The expectation of the outside world we've always sort of put away to one side. We were that side that wasn't going where people thought we should. We'd gutted the list and we were tanking. All those that narrative was out there, and we were very deliberate in putting it aside. And now, the opposite's happening. People are saying we're all this, and you've got to put it aside because the evidence of tonight says that we've still got a fair bit of work to do. And all the evidence that we've seen as coaches, as a football club, we watch tonight's game and say we've got a fair bit of work to do, despite being 2-0.
Plenty of room for improvement. Sam Mitchell diagnosing tonight's comfortable win over the Bombers on the scoreboard, but within the game, plenty to be addressed still. Brownie Bucks, we bring John Ralph in here as we cast an eye toward the rest of the rounds. As Brownie, you're down the highway tomorrow with the Cats and Fremantle meeting. All week, the forecast has been 36, 37 degrees. Maybe not the absolute extreme now.
Yeah, that Bellarine Peninsula haze will bring it down to 33 degrees. So you bring the zinc cream, the players bring the pickle juice. So all three Victorian games will have those 8-minute quarter time and 3/4 time breaks. There'll be extra water carriers there. So 32 degrees is not too bad, but we're looking forward to Super Saturday. The 1:20 p.m. start time puts it into rude focus. Fremantle has been saying all year, we've been training in 40 degrees. That narrative, I think, will really put them in good stead.
Well, Geelong want to play an up-tempo game, so that will be fascinating early in the afternoon.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a good one. A good clash, Fremantle. A lot of people expect them to come into the A, don't they? Of course, preliminary finalists Geelong last year. It's going to be a really interesting battle between two different game styles.
The Bulldogs are the eve of their season today. Luke Beveridge has spoken sparingly across the summer as he enters the final year of his contract, season 2025, with much on the line.